Американская фирма Transceptor Technology приступила к производству компьютеров «Персональный спутник».
Hey, what's up, folks? The Heavy Hitters Radio Show. This is Moose, a.k.a. Big House. That's not our song. And matter of fact, it wasn't even a good song, really, when it was out popular. But we liked it. We talked about it today, so we wanted to play it. I'm not the lyrical Jesse James. I'm Moose, a.k.a. Big House, your host of the Heavy Hitters Radio Show. And tonight's going to be a really cool show, man. We are going to get into some of the turmoil, the positives and the positives and the negatives that are happening tonight. And we're on Zoom, so you know what I need to do? I need to get this going. Hey, I tell you what, man, we got the lady of the house, man, the one and only Run, EMC. She's in here. What's going down?
Hi, guys. Happy Wednesday. I almost said Tuesday. It's not Tuesday.
And Run, tell the folks the reason we didn't do the show on Tuesday.
We did not do the show yesterday because we were participating in the blackout. So we took time to be active in our communities. I've spent 50 minutes standing in line to vote, but I stayed there, made it happen. So that's what we are on Wednesday this week. And no day of the week really matters anymore because it's a pandemic and all the days look the same.
One of the things we say is it's a damn pandemic. And you know, it's like things are just always happening. Like it never matters like what day it is. Like we're just doing it. So that's what was happening. Hey, folks, I tell you what, and you know, he has internet by Fisher Price, but he's a star of our show. He's a star of our show. He's the one, the only LGZ Mbaku, otherwise known as Just Jeezy. How you doing, buddy?
Man, life's good, man. Can you hear me? Can you hear me pretty good? I got the mic up in this thing. You know, I got good internet.
You sound like you're in a tunnel.
It makes me happy. All right. So guys, check this out. Heavy Hitters Radio Show, man. We also got Mingle here. You guys know Mingle. We got Baba tuned in there, and then we have some special guests that are also around, man. We got RK, we got JR, which I don't know if he's still in here or not. Like
R. Kelly at?
R. Kelly's not here, man. Not R. Kelly. He's not here.
Oh, we ain't got R. Kelly?
No, it's my man Ross. We got the Monsignor, and then let me see who else is in here. All right, we got Boyd. I think maybe we lost Boyd, and then we got Miss Lee, right? Miss Lee, is that what I'm saying? Yeah. All right, here we go. All right, guys. As part of the Heavy Hitters Radio Show, we're going to get into the heavy stuff early, and then we're going to do our regular thing later. Although I think Reading Rumbo, we might need to do Reading Rumbo with everybody here, like towards the end of our conversation to kind of lighten the load. Is that cool?
We can totally do that because I have a real treat for us tonight.
Outstanding. All right, guys, here we go. Now, you got.
By the way, I'm in the bathroom.
Good. We appreciate that. Hey, so here's what's happening, guys. Last week, matter of fact, we did our show last week, Tuesday, and we actually, by the way, outside of what I saw on social media, was the first platform to put out to the world what happened to George Floyd. I watched the evening news. I watched Lester Holt. I watched WTHR here in Indianapolis where we do the show, and I did not see not one thing covered on it. I saw it on Facebook before the show, and then we talked about it, and then that night they started talking about it, and now we see where we're going. Hey, real quick, Run, give us a kind of synopsis of what has happened since last week.
Man, so since last week, in Minneapolis, they have arrested all 4 officers that were involved, and we're burning many cities down to the ground. And if we're not burning them down to the ground, we are protesting. So there's a lot of peaceful protests happening. There's some rioting going on. There's a lot of controversy, and my racist friends are showing themselves to me on Facebook so that I can make mental note of who they are. So that's what's happened in the last 8 days.
All right. Hey, I tell you what, Baba Tunde, I know you are very near and dear to this. I'm gonna put it to you real quick. Give us your thoughts on the reason that we got from when the officer, what's his name, Chauvin was on his neck till today.
The reason behind that?
Yep.
Well, I mean, America has dehumanized the black race in general, but specifically the black male. They have created this image of us in their mind that we're less than human. So a police officer can put his knee on the neck and hear a grown man crying out he can't breathe, and for his dead mama, and not see a full human there. And in society, all of us are desensitized to it. It's not just white people. I mean, even black people. I mean, this type of abuse on a continuum happens every day in our communities. Now, that it was so egregious, leading to death and being videotaped, has made an outcry, public outcry and whatnot. I'm very encouraged by the diversity of people who are hurt by this. But this has been going on forever. I mean, forever. I'm talking about through slavery, through Jim Crow, through Emmett Till, through the 60s, through nonviolent protests. I mean, you let dogs, the government let dogs out. And what like surprised me, some of my most racist friends are real right and really talk about limited government. The government can't control us, can't do this. But then they see the state take a human life and get off with it, and then they remain silent. So I mean, it's because this is white supremacy. We're living in a white supremacist land. I'm encouraged though, because the youth have come out and they're saying, "Hey, we're going to demand a more humane space for us all."
Hey, you know what? I definitely appreciate your kind of giving us an understanding of what's happening here. So I think the way I would do this is that JR, I'm gonna go to you, and I'm gonna ask you what the same question. What got us from last Monday to today from your viewpoint, my man?
Well, unfortunately, I don't totally agree with Sherman's points, and I respect them. Definitely want to listen to them. It makes me sad that he feels that the human race as a whole devalues a black man. For me, that's hard to understand because I've been your friend, Chris, for 20 plus years. And
on the show, it's called Moose, by the way. I keep telling you that.
I apologize.
You got to write some notes down or something.
I apologize, Moose. No disrespect intended.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't see color with anybody. You and I make fun of each other because we can, and that's our personalities. But I don't see that. I see the real problem with society in two areas. I see the breakdown of the home where families are not together anymore. There's no such thing as a sit-down meal where you talk and you welcome different opinions. It's, hey, let's get a TV tray, let's microwave this and go. I think the other problem you have is social media with Facebook, with Twitter. Nobody has learned how to have a conversation anymore. It's, hey, what can I do to get the most likes or the most views? And it's gone bad. I think you also have a lack of leadership. And I know people are going to rush and say, you're damn right, it's Trump. Lack of leadership has started at the local level all the way up. And, you had 3 other officers that, correct me if I'm wrong, one was Hispanic, one was white, one was Asian, and I believe one was black. And so, again, I don't think it's a racial thing. I think it's people that have a lack of leadership. If you look at that Chauvin's record, he should have been long gone, taken away off the police force. he's not somebody that should have had his job. Unfortunately, nobody stepped up in a leadership role and made sure that somebody like him was not out there. You know, the good news is, because you got to look for good when bad happens. The good news is I think you're going to start seeing a lot more police departments step up and hold their people accountable. I think you're going to see people as a whole accountable. I hope that with all these rioting and looting that has taken place, that I loved it. My favorite thing that I saw on social media was a police officer got separated in Louisville from his group, and 10 black guys surrounded him to protect him. And I was like, that's the America I know. That's what I believe in, because had those guys not have surrounded him, I'm sure he, at least would have got the shit kicked out of him, if not killed.
Hey, JR.
Yeah.
I appreciate your comments, man. I got two things, though. One is if it's not a racial thing, if it's not an intersection of race and gender, how many white women have you unarmed have you seen killed by the state? That's my first question. The second is, how can you say I don't see color, and then in the midst of you talking, you communicate 10 black guys helping a white officer?
Well,
are you being genuine when you say you don't see color? Because you couldn't go a 5-minute conversation without bringing up color.
Well, the reason I do that is because this conversation, I want people to understand. So if I would have told you, hey, 10 guys surrounded a police officer, it wouldn't have had an impact. But if I clarify that these were 10 black guys, I'll use any term you want, but I want to paint a picture. That's something that this conversation, I don't think people would see without me bringing up that color. That's the only reason I did that. And then lastly, I want to end this, and I'm not cutting it short, but I only have, I told Chris, a short period of time to be on. I don't have kids, and I've got my wife tonight, so I want to spend some time with her. But here's the interesting part, and I would love, Sherman, to hear your input on this. And when I say this, I don't want you to think this is like a jab. This is an honest question I would ask here. And what I don't understand is, I understand the outrage for what happened, and good will come out of this. Those police officers are going to be charged. They're going to be convicted, and other things are going. But if you look at the FBI statistics on homicide and death, blacks, and I say blacks because this is the way the stats are given, blacks kill more blacks than white people kill black people. And what I don't understand is, where's the outrage for the black on black violence?
Thank you for asking the question, JR.
Yeah.
Because that is another way of dehumanizing black people. And this isn't an attack on you. But what you're saying is that black humans somehow don't get upset if a black person kills another person's life. And just as humans, we have to know that doesn't make sense.
Right, but where's the outrage when 50...
We get upset. Hold on, because you asked me. I'm dedicating my life to working with young people. There are pastors, there's organizations, there are marches, there are protests, there's like, hey, stop the violence in the streets. But then we have to look at, why is that? Why do we have so much violence in black communities? And why does this resemble the same everywhere you go across the world, where there is extreme poverty, where there's extreme oppression, where there's extreme discrimination, those communities turn against themselves. And I know you don't see color, but white on white crime is the same. 86% of white people die in the hands of white people. But yet, white people run around here scared of 5 black guys walking around saying, gang is going to be killed. So I think, with you, JR, what I would start with, man, when you say you don't see color, to me, you're saying you don't see me. I'm not just black, but I am a black man. And for you not to see that, I honestly feel like that's a place of disingenuous. I mean, that's
the reason I say that.
The research shows is the first thing we see is color. When somebody walks, that's the first thing that we see. And so when you say, hey, I don't see that, you have to ask yourself, why am I saying that? What am I protecting in my own ego? What am I really covering here?
Yeah, well, I will tell you. So this has been about 15 years ago. I lived in Greenwood in the Center Grove area, and there's not many African American, Black people, minorities across the board in there. And there was a friend of mine's husband that moved from California here, and he came. He is Black, and we went out, and he goes, "Hey, I can't go out with you there." And I go, "What are you talking about? You can go with me." And he's like, "No, you don't understand how I get viewed and how I'm treated differently. When I say I don't see color, I just see a human being." So I work with special needs kids every other weekend. I have a group that I lead every week and teach for kids all across the board going through divorces, because those are the groups that don't get help. And we have a mix of every kind of person you can imagine that attend my class going through divorces. So I say I don't see color because I just see people. I that's all I see. There's nothing I'm hiding. If you were to look at my family and background, I've got the UN of families. I mean, we're everything that you can imagine grouped together. And so I think it's wrong when we start saying, "Oh, hey, this is my Black friend, this is my Asian friend." This is like a group of us that go to church together. They say, "Oh, this is my church friend." And I'm like, why can't it just be your friend? I don't know why we have to categorize.
Hey, hold on 1 second, JR. Run, what you got? You're muted.
I would like to address the "I don't see color" comment, because I've done a lot of work on myself in relation to race and diversity, and I think a big part of the reason that white people like to say they don't see color is it's at least twofold. One, white people don't consider their race as part of their culture, because white is the standard that we live by. So we don't consider that to be part of our culture. And there's not like a relation in that in being white. Also, I think that white people are often nervous to say any kind of color because they don't want to sound racist. Like, do we call someone Black? Do we say they're African American? Do we say people of color? Do we say Latino? Like, I think there are two reasons that white people say that, but I also agree with Babatunde that if you don't see someone's culture, then you can't really understand who they are.
All right, hey, Ron, I appreciate what you're saying, Babatunde. I mean, holy cow, that's why you're here, because you're like the smartest one in the room, probably. And then
I'm in trouble then.
yeah. And JR, hey, listen to me, man. The reason you're here also is because I won't hold back. I love the guy. He is my friend. He comes to my house. He comes to the neighborhood that I live in. And matter of fact, he comes here easier than I go to his neighborhood, because I don't want to be out in his neighborhood, but he'll come here no problem. I wonder what the issue is with that. Anyway, folks, we have some other folks on here. So, Miss Lee, you have been shaking your head, and I'm sure you have some thoughts about what's happening. Do you have any thoughts about what's happening right now, or we're saying?
I'm going to stick with the premise of your first question on how do we get from Tuesday to today.
Outstanding.
And I think that there's just been a vast awakening in the Black community and communities in general, that people are now saying the time is now. Not only are we living in a pandemic, not only are we witnessing someone being killed on camera. And I think I've said this to a couple of friends, that being killed by a gunshot wound, I mean, I think the expectation in our mind is, okay, they're automatically dead. But then when we think about someone being strangled, and actually being able to watch that footage, I think it did something, and it ignited something in a lot of people in the community that are outraged. And I think we think that it was, I know for me, I felt like it was very intentional for what this man has done. I don't condemn the protest at all. I don't condemn the rioters or the looters. I do think it does derail the progress towards the movement, on what the intentions of all of that is. I think we've seen a publicity stunt that's done for optics, kind of around the world, really, at this point, of officers, walking hand in hand, and this hug-a-thon and da-da-da-da-da. But then right around the corner, at least in our city, people are still getting tear gas and pepper sprayed.
Right.
So I think it's been a frustration, but I think something about watching a slow, painful death really has ignited something in people at this time.
There's no question, Miss Lee. I definitely appreciate that. Hey guys, also joining us, there's two people that joined us. The Health Connection is here that joined us, and also Nape, who is a friend of mine that is relatively new to me, but I trust her. I trust her opinion, and and it's different from mine. But there's one thing she said to me, I don't know, maybe about 4 months ago. She said, "Man, having been around you, I'm learning so much different stuff, And I appreciate the fact that she was able just to say that and not feel offended or scared or anything to say it. So that's why I invited her on tonight. So you guys see her in my screen. She's in the lower right-hand corner. But anyway, Nate, give him the peace sign. There you go. So she's up in here too. And then you guys see Health Connection because he thinks he's all cute. That's how he's all in there. All right, Jeezy, where we at so far, man? Heavy hitters. What's your thoughts on this thing here, man?
Well, my thing is kind of like twofold. One, what JR said, like I first of all appreciate him coming on and giving his opinion.
Yes.
That's the first thing because not a lot of people would even do that. Come on and give their opinion. And number two, as Black people, we have to be able to not attack someone for either A, not seeing things the way we see them, or B, not necessarily understanding why we feel the certain way we feel. All we can do is articulate, kind of like Obama 2 Day was doing, and explain to them why we feel how we feel about certain things, and not come off as in a way of attacking someone. Second, as far as like, I feel like how we got here today is the fact that this is the first time, and I think I said it last week, this was one where you can't deny it. So on the other ones you can look at and say, you can argue the opposite side, say they was resisting, or they had a toy gun, or there was things that you can play that devil's advocate role, and you can see how maybe, even though it was slight, there was some justification behind what happened. With this one, there was no resisting, there was no fighting, there was no arguing. It was strictly, he was walking, he fell, and he never got up from that. And I think the optics are bad. I think people are now starting to wake up, and as a whole, as a community, not just Black folks, I think the nation as a whole is seeing this and saying, okay, we got a problem. Now I feel like it's time for us to take the opportunity to go out here and make actual real change. Get the way that officers are trained changed. Get that changed. Maybe work on demilitarizing the police. Why do we need tanks at a precinct? Why do we need tanks and all this heavy artillery to police normal everyday citizens? Why do we need all this equipment that's given to them from the military to, we live in the United States. It's not like living across seas where we have citizens with, missiles and all that kind of stuff. We don't have those kind of things here. So why do our police force carry those things? Why are, all these different takedowns as far as being taken down as citizens? Why are those things being taught? So we need to use this as an opportunity to email our senators, email our congressmen, call our governors, and get those things ratified and changed. The most thing that is changed is not by fighting, it's by the pen. The pen can change everything. I think that's one thing that we need to understand. The pen is more powerful than the sword. So we have to change legislation, change the law to get things that actually change in our favor. All
right, Jeezy, I got you, man. It's funny because you and I talk other days, so I've heard you say this before, and your story is clear and concise. I tell you what, Ross, real quick, Ross, I'm opening up to you, and then I'm opening up to the Health Connection. So Ross, I want you to go back to my original question. Like Miss Lee, I appreciate you for putting it back into perspective. I need that, by the way. So feel free to join us anytime, so you can keep me online there. But so go back to last week. How did we get here, my man? And then what's going to change? And by the way, and if you want, you can you can tell them why I even invited you, because you were right.
Well, first off, does this phone make me look fat?
Yes. Yes, it's the angle, not the phone.
Look, I'm a bulimic with ADD. I purge, but I forget to gorge. And your suggestion was stupid. You know, I tried to tell you that gravy is a beverage, and if you put Slim Fast in it, it still tastes like shit. What?
Now, I hope everybody sees why I invited him. He's my guy, man. I'm still nervous about going to your house in Mount Vernon, though.
Phillip Rivers. Do we got a chance with Phillip Rivers?
Hey, man, give me your opinion on this thing, man. We don't need this all today. Go.
Fresher than you, and I'm white. Look, there's a difference between protesting and rioting. And when it comes to the rioting, from what we see, race doesn't matter because you got black people and white people thinking they're playing Grand Theft Auto in real life. And it's very disturbing. I don't know, Chrissy, if you saw Jerry Wade's thing when he's walking around the city, did you watch that? You know, Loverman?
Yes.
All right. It's just, I moved away from downtown down to North Vernon because I saw it coming. And it isn't white people are throwing bricks too. And it's absolutely absurd. And there's for me, I lived off Mass Avenue for 20 years, and I absolutely loved it. I'll go back and visit, but not next week.
I had a quick question. I've been downtown several times, and I got a question. Where did the bricks come from? I've been downtown a lot. I've never seen bricks lying around.
Now, if I give you the answer,
ready to just arm and throw.
If I give you the answer, it's going to piss off a lot of people. They were delivered prior to the protest.
Yeah, because
Antifa.
My Antifa. And I know a lot of people don't know what that is, but like I think when you see stuff like that, you gotta ask yourself these questions. Like we all live here. I've never seen like ready-made bricks just lying around downtown ready for somebody to throw.
George Soros leads Antifa. And that's why I said.
Hey, hold on, guys. Hold on, real quick. So who the heck can explain Antifa? Like for our listeners who maybe not know who that is, somebody explain it.
That's where what I've done, and I'm not patting my own back, but look at both sides in the research and go back into your research. Emotion, I've tried to keep, you've known me for a while, Chris, except for me telling, jokes about myself and coming in and ruin your podcast when you're sitting in a nice bar. I keep emotions as the cart and not the horse. You know what I mean?
That's a little deep for me.
Hell, I was a Kappa at Ball State. That doesn't make me better or worse. I think the Q Dogs were assholes, and we got.
That ain't cool. You know that ain't cool.
And the Sig F's did our homework.
We got a Sigma coming in now. All right. So listen, and it's funny that we do have a conservative white Kappa. It's the way the world goes, folks. Only on the heavy hitters, man.
Abdul Shabazz ain't got nothing on me, son.
Hey, so Health Connection. What was your thoughts on this, man?
Man, I'm just glad that we all can. I'm just glad that we all can come together and effectively communicate, and that's something I've always, tried to harp on. To answer some of Jeezy's answers in regards to why must there be tanks or why must there be pieces of military grade equipment out. The answer is generally all psychological. It's called the show of force. In most cases, none of that equipment gets used. Only in the event where explosives or heavy artillery from the general populace, only in that case would there be a definite need arise to protect and serve. And that's the biggest thing that we're getting away from here, is that the fire or the matchstick to ignite a lot of this is not the fact that a man of color lost his life to someone not of color. The problem is that a person that, like myself, because I'm currently involved in law enforcement, I work here in Indianapolis locally, I do support all factions. However, the problem is that when you have someone in a position of authority as a public servant, it is considered a betrayal of trust in the case of doing something to harm someone that you have sworn to protect and serve. I personally have been that guy to tap people out and say, hey, I got this. Hey, he's all right. He's in my custody. So I'm not the guy to just stand by and just watch something happen. So that's not who I am. So my friends and family know that I stand for one thing, and that's the right thing. And that's something my mother taught me. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, the lowest of the lowest wards. And I am truly blessed and fortunate to say that I have these experiences that have led my path to law enforcement. The only reason I'm even here today, as Moose and Jeezy and Run can attest to, I mean, I personally was in trouble and found myself in the custody of law enforcement in the orange jumpsuit on the other side of the fence. And in that situation, I had an epiphany. At that moment, I said, Lord, if you can get me through this, I promise to come back and be a part of the solution, not be a part of the problem. That is what we all can do, whether it's with ourselves, whether it's with our children. It's joining law enforcement, joining your local fire department, joining your conservative party, joining your Democratic Party, joining your Republican Party, becoming a part of the state and local legislature, making the difference to get those, as Jesus said, the pen is mightier than the sword, to get some of these laws changed. After Dr. King marched in 1968, riots broke out once he was assassinated. Well, guess what? The riots went on for an entire week. After that week, what happened? The 1968 Civil Rights Act was implemented. Now, granted, that said that myself, Smeagol, Ross, that said that, my lady, Run, that said that we now can hang out in the swimming pool together. We now can drink from a damn water fountain together. We had to make a law to say that it's okay to treat people like human beings. So that's one of the things we have to get back to.
I agree totally. It's not just changing the laws; it's changing how society looks at everyone. Going back a little bit to what JR was talking about at the beginning when he was saying that there was a white cop that got separated and 10 black guys, surrounded him so he wouldn't get hurt. Well, the whole reason this is going on is because there was a black man that was in custody and not resisting or whatever, and they suffocated him.
No one surrounded him, Smeagol.
Right. I mean, that was, the two situations that could have been the same.
It's because of the narrative. It is always the narrative that is painted.
Right. But also, what Big K, and I can't read your whole name, what you pointed out is you're the police officer that stands up for right. It goes back to my point about a lack of leadership. Why were one of those other officers not standing up? Why did somebody in leadership not take care of Chauvin months or years ago when he had problems and he should have been replaced? That's where we start.
The problem is that everyone looks passively against things like that, and they try to say, oh, he's going to get in trouble for that. Oh, there's a camera present. I'm not involved. No, become involved. Stand up for something. I'm not going to win every fight, but I'll fight.
Hey, real quick, guys. Here's the thing. So listen, we all have opinions, right? And everybody's going to get a shot. So let somebody get their whole thought out before you jump in. Kind of like throw your finger up or whatever you need to do. And then guess what? I have the right to cut you off. It's cool. Like it works like that. There's a black guy in charge. Go figure. Only on the heavy hitters, man. Here we go. There you go. All right, so look. I'm gonna go Ross, and then I'm gonna go Smingle. Go. Oh, sorry. Guess what? I muted you. I'm just really clowning today. I'm just using all my power. Wait, let me unmute you. All right, go. Wait, go ahead. Go ahead, buddy.
There you go.
You got me?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Is behavior a civil right?
Is behavior a civil right? You may need to expound on that a little bit. And you got some people here that can answer that question, but expound a little bit.
Well, it's going to be about 3 different opinions. There's a big difference between, again, the riots and, between the marching and then breaking shit.
Okay.
So in my mind, I've asked the question, and I ask it as an open question: is behavior a civil right?
All right. So I tell you what, I don't mind tackling this one as a host. I know typically I try to stay impartial, but I'm okay. I tell you something, man. That doesn't have anything to do with it right now. Here's what it has to do with. Here's what it has to do. Yeah, here's what it has to do with. I think the fact that a lot of folks have been in the house and locked up due to COVID-19, which we haven't even discussed that, by the way. There is a pandemic going on that killed over 100,000 people. And a lot of people had to stay home, and a lot of people were bottlenecked, and a lot of people were stuck in their communities, and a lot of people were doing things. And then all of a sudden on television, we see this guy get choked out to death, and that was the match that lit the powder keg of, oh my gosh, I need to get out. I need to be a part of something. I need to be in society. And unfortunately, it was a negative. It was a. Can you have a negative match? Because typically a match means that you're going to burn something that's going to bring something new. And guess what happened? It is a positive match because maybe we've burnt the forest down now, and we all know. I talked about this earlier today, by the way. When you burn the forest down, it grows back better, for sure. And I feel like now that we've burnt the forest down, not just in America, by the way, in France, in England, in Germany, in Brazil, all over the place. Now that we've burnt the forest down, my hope is that it grows back. You know what, Ross and JR? I think JR left. I need more conservatives like you. I need more conservatives that have your opinion but know how to move around in society. I need more folks that are on the other side that say, you know what, I don't believe everything you believe in, but I still love you and I'm still cool with you. That's what we're looking for, and that's what happened. That's what happened this last week. So is behavior a right? Yeah, behavior is a right. Matter of fact, it's written down. I mean, George Washington started. The Boston Tea Party, right, was a issue that we started something. Crispus Attucks, right? Matter of fact, that's the same thing. Crispus Attucks, all that was the same thing, right? The Revolutionary War. You notice how that every time there was some sort of change that we needed, there was some sort of civil unrest that got us going. Holy cow, that was a little heavy for Moose, but that's where I went. All right, Babatunde, go.
I'm sorry, we got to get back to Smingle. We got cut off there.
Oh, please do. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, man.
Good job, Babatunde.
Okay. So one of the things that I said to Moose earlier today was, you hear the narrative a little bit of, man, it's terrible that that black guy got killed, but we can't have all this looting, and it should be the other way around. Man, it's terrible that we're having this looting, but we can't have a black guy get killed. We can't have anybody get killed like that. And that's the mindset that And I'll fully admit, growing up, I grew up out in the country. We didn't have a black kid in our school the whole time that I was there. And not that I'm 100% without prejudice or anything like that, but and going back to JR's comments a little bit of, I don't see color. I do see color, but I see differences. That doesn't make it bad. But I also, I've got friends that are Chinese. I got friends that are, from other countries and all this kind of stuff. And I'm interested in their cultures, and it's like that's what the world is made up of.
Hey, so Nate, I got you here. I invited you. I know you're not 100% interested in talking a whole lot, but since you've been here, what is your summation of this talk that we've had, and then we'll start asking some other questions here in a minute.
Well, I just like the narrative. I like to learn different people's opinions of what's going on. I obviously have my own, not necessarily right or wrong, but I've agreed with a lot of what's said. It's nice to hear. I like hearing from an officer's side, what he feels. Obviously, I live in Whiteland, and I grew up in Mooresville. I didn't have a lot of blacks around me. That's why, Chris, I like working with you, because I learned. I worked at the Attorney General's office when it was ran by a black lady, and so I learned from there. And I try very hard not to be prejudiced. We all are to some extent, but we all bleed the same. So, we're all people, and you can't do well if you're not learning. So, I personally hate the riots. I hate the riots.
Because?
I don't think it's really proven much.
I do want to talk about the riots.
Nate, I definitely appreciate you. That's why you crossed my mind to invite you, because I know one, you'll be honest, and two, you've been, you hang around me a lot, and guys, I don't know if you guys know or not, but I am like me all the time, right? And so when somebody says something like, "Well, y'all did such and such," I'm like, "Oh yeah, y'all did it," I'm one of those blacks. And I say something right away, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, like, did I say that?" I'm like, "Yeah, you did. I mean, it's cool. I'm gonna go ahead and do it, but dang, is it gotta be all of us?" And you know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's where we are. Hey, real quick before Babatunde, I'm opening up to you to talk about the next topic here. Hey man, we got the one and the only man, D-Lo. D-Lo G in the house. What's up, baby?
What's happening? I'm glad to have made it for this conversation. I think it's interesting. I certainly don't mind sitting back and listening. I've had a lot to say the last week or so. Really for the last month, going back to the Drajon Reed police action shooting. So, I'm here to listen, observe, and chime in where valuable. I'm glad I didn't miss the conversation regarding the riots. I have my opinions on that too, but I'm certainly here to listen and engage.
Look at that cutie. All right, Babatunde, open up for the next. Oh my gosh, she done made the show so much more beautiful.
Right.
Or he? Is it he? She? All right. Go ahead, Babatunde.
Sorry, guys.
No, you're all right. Do you think?
Big Moose, I want to thank you for bringing these diverse people together, man, and everybody on here. The openness and everything is we need more of this. So thank you. Thank you guys for being here.
Heavy hitters, man.
And I'm talking to white people too, because I do a lot of training on this, and I know that people fear of like saying something racist and being killed and attacked. And I promise that I believe that love is the cure for this. I believe that that's the only way we're going to come out. So I understand why people are so upset when they see violence and protests. But I do want to pause there for a second, though, because the United States of America, all these freedoms, all these rights, all these promises was based off of white property owners, white men who own property. That's who this was set for. And to this day, we have a large segment of our population that don't own anything. They're not in that system. So I hear so many say, it don't make no sense to burn up their own community. That's not their community. They live there. They don't feel welcome, wanted. It's not growing. It's a trap. It's a death trap I can't get out of. And for some reason, and I'm going to say this, white supremacy is the most violent act that America can do. And so some people believe the only language that this violence can understand is violence itself. And do we have proof of that? We have a man that sacrificed his career peacefully kneeling, peacefully protesting, and everybody comes out the woodwork. Oh, hell, I don't want to see that shit, pineapple. I don't want to see that shit on Sunday. I just want to relax. Oh, he's disrespecting our anthem, this and that and whatnot.
No, right.
We don't hear it. We got peaceful marching all the time. JR is not here. There's people marching for death and black-on-black crime and police violence all the time. We don't hear it. But here it is. We hear downtown burning. And shit changes. Ferguson burned up. And the politicians met with the activists. Changes has been made. And it's sad. It's sad that this is what it takes. He said, hey, get your knee off my neck ain't enough.
Right.
Hey, man,
that's kind of what I've been saying is like, you try to do it peacefully, nobody listens. Or you make it about something else. Well, it's clear that this is not about something else, and it's clear that you have to listen now. Like, you have to listen to what's going on. And sometimes, things have to be, torn down, as Bruce said, to be rebuilt. Now, understand that in every situation, there will be people there will be opportunities. That's just a part of it. And unfortunately, the news and media outlets will focus on the opportunists, to push their narrative and their agenda. Those people don't matter regardless what they call it. It could be a national title game. Guess what? They're going to be opportunists to find a way to get some new Jordans. You know what I mean? Somebody, your team can win a title somewhere. There'll be somebody to find a way to get some free stuff. That's just how it's going to be for everything. So there's always going to be, people that will take advantage of a situation, but they cannot take the focus away from what happened and what needs to change and what changes that we need to make things better for everyone.
D-Lo.
Okay, so from my perspective, the riots have been tough to watch. The looting has been even tougher to see. However, if you really look at the people who are doing the rioting, they're the people that have the least in this country. They're the people whose neighborhoods have been gentrified. They're the people whose voices have not been heard. And I think sometimes it's easy for white society to ignore the people who are the very least, or the people that have the very least, because it doesn't directly impact them. But you can't keep ignoring people and not expect for the pressure to build. At some point in time, that pressure is going to cause the pipe to burst. And so with that being said, they see this as an opportunity to be able to go someplace, make a scene, be heard. But you have to understand the looting is not the problem. There's a greater problem underneath all of this that's led to the looting. If these people were such bad people, they could have picked any day of the week, last month, last year, 2 years ago, to go downtown, to riot, to burn things, to loot, but they didn't. Something set it off. But the problem has always been there. And just because folks have decided not to pay attention to it, it doesn't mean that the problem doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
There are huge underlying issues that are driving people to be able to seek out and get this type of attention. And it's sad because I love Indianapolis, but it's not everybody. And in spite of what you see in the news clips, the media, it'd be easy to say, well, look at the blacks, they're all looting. But I don't believe any black person on this show right now would be part of that group of looters, because we've all done fairly well for ourselves in some capacity. So we don't have to. We all have some sort of platform where we feel like our voices can be heard and we can make a difference. But there's a whole lot of people that look like us that don't. And this was their opportunity to say, hey, we here. You gonna notice me. You've been ignoring me. I've been silent. I've been peaceful. I've been begging. I've been asking. You know, unfortunately, a lot of the criminal justice department is built on the backs of the poor. I mean, because if you can go into somebody's neighborhood, harass them, throw a bunch of charges on them, you know, you put them in the system, and then once they're in the system, they go to court. It's much simpler to take a plea deal. They have no real understanding of the law. They can't go and get lawyers to be able to get petty cases dismissed, you know. And then at that point in time, let's say you put them on house arrest, then they have to pay for that, you know. Then they have the court costs, and these are already people with very little. So at some point in time, it's going to explode. And I'm sorry that they have to deface our city, but we've been seeing this for decades, for centuries, and something's got to change. And if this is the moment to get your attention to say, hey, well, maybe there's a problem, I would hope that you would not just look at the individuals, but you would consider that there are underlying factors that are impacting and driving all of this.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Miss Lee, I believe you had a comment about this. If you want to.
Well, talking about people's voices not being heard, I just kind of want to bring it around to the election yesterday. Indiana had their generals yesterday, and I saw countless amount of people who live in Marion County. There were only 22 voting polls, and when you skip counties to like Hamilton County, they've got over 100 polls. You don't want to hear from the poor. You don't want to hear from those people who have been suppressed. You're limiting their access to be able to make those proper changes. And if they don't have another platform, what else are they left to do other than riot? That was just my piece. That was my piece.
No, you're absolutely right. Smingle, what's up?
Just in the same vein, but a slightly off topic, just a little bit, but on that same piece of even like looking at minimum wage, you know, there's a saying or whatever that the people that make $800 an hour have convinced the people that make $25 an hour that the people that make $7 an hour are the problem. And you know, when you can't even get raising the minimum wage up, people that work 40 hours a week and make minimum wage can't survive. I mean, what the hell is wrong with society?
Yeah.
All right. So
that's a great way of putting it. How you say that people making $800 an hour convince the people making $25, which in its own right is a huge discrepancy in itself. But they managed to convince us, like, hey, they're the problem. Let's stop them from getting ahead because you don't want them to take anything that you have. I'm like, wait a minute, we need to be aspiring to have what you have. You know, they almost like, hey, don't look my way. Look at them. Look at them. They're the problem, and we bought into it. Because the people who make the $800 an hour are the ones that are able to control the TV stations, control the narrative, put the things out there, and we all kind of buy into a hook, line, and sinker.
So I got a question. I got a question real quick. So, like, are business owners and CEOs supposed to not make money? Is it a situation where the margin has to be so small that we take that, and I say we. So if you understand that, you understand that. If we take all the responsibility of the insurance and the shirts and all the stuff that happens, and then the margin is smaller, is that what's supposed to happen to further society? And it open up to whoever. I tell you what, so Jeezy, you go, and then Babatunde, you go, and then whoever else wants to go next.
What you're saying is that, so Walmart, who has quarterly profits of $4 billion, they can afford to pay an extra $5 to their employees. When their profit margin, after everything's paid out, is a couple of $1 billion, they can afford to say, okay, you know what? We'll take $1 billion and just give it to our employees and spread it out. They can't afford to do that. There are certain small businesses that the profit margins may not be as high to give that certain amount of raise to a certain amount of people. We understand it as own business owners and things like that. But your larger Fortune 500 companies, yes, they have enough money, like banks and all those, they have enough money to say, okay, we will give a certain of our profit. Our profit, we'll give those back to our employees so that way they can have a livable wage. And then also, if you say, you know what, I met a guy, and I think I might have told this story a couple weeks ago. The job I was on, there was a guy that he buys skilled tools. You know what I mean? I don't know if y'all remember with Skill, but they based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And he said, yeah, I'll buy these tools right here because I know there's a family in Wisconsin right now that makes good money and is able to take a 2-week vacation and they can provide for his family based off me paying a little extra for my tools that's made here in America. If I buy tools that's made from overseas, that money never comes back here. So if y'all remember in the 80s, it was something proud about buying products made in the USA. It was a certain pride to say, you know what, my products and what I do, I support the people here in my country. But somewhere along the line, they made it cool to say, you know what, I'm gonna ship these jobs overseas. I'm gonna ship these jobs overseas and save me a couple of $1,000. But now what you're doing is you're putting your own people out of work, and no one has even seen that's a part of the problem as well, is that there is nothing here, there's no jobs here that where you can make a good living working for somebody. It's either you own something or you're wealthy. You know, my dad made a good living working in the steel mill. He was able to make a very livable wage with an everyday job. A lot of our parents grew up working jobs where there was a union involved and it was making good money. They didn't own nothing, but they still made $60,000, $70,000 working someplace. Those jobs are slim to none now because everything has been done overseas.
All right, so it sounds like the first, if there's going to be any kind of list that we create, Ron, do you mind typing this up real quick? You're just better at it than everybody else.
I will put it in the chat. Is that cool?
Yeah, maybe on your notes or something. But it sounds like that we need to implore people to buy local, to buy American, to, farmers market, that kind of stuff, so that we inject our finances into our communities. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You should always finance your community because you live in that community. When your money leaves your community, that money never comes back. When you buy products overseas, that money never comes back to the States. It never comes back here. And that's money just spent somewhere else. So you never see the benefit around your community. You never see the fruits of your labor that you buying something in the area in which you live, in your country in which you live. You know, we made it fashionable to buy products that's not even from here.
All right, Babatunde, what are your thoughts about this, man?
Caesar, I always appreciate your comments, man. I'm struggling a little. I definitely believe in capitalism. I'm a capitalist. I just believe that there needs to be checks and balances. We went through the Great Recession when the American people were hurting significantly, but at the same time, American business recorded record profits. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, how can we, the people, be hurting like this, and then you, the business, be excelling like this? I mean, that just doesn't make sense. And how come we, the people, aren't demanding more? I think Smeagol said it. I mean, because we got the $25 hour guy looking at the $7 hour as a problem. And I'm for people getting rich, but I'm for also people, if you work a 37.5 hour, 40 hour a week job that you can afford to feed your family and live. The Buy American, I'm with that to a degree, but it's dehumanization across the globe that makes me buying something that goes over this, worked over in China and Mexico, because they're paying these humans slave wages. I mean, so it seems to be a little more complex. It's just, we have to demand more from these businesses and not, here you go, you're talking socialism when everybody hurt. I'm not talking like that. I think that people that risk and put forward capital, and I think they should profit off of that. But man, we could definitely create. I'm gonna give you an example. I'm sorry I get long-winded here. Eli Lilly, I'm calling him out. Eli Lilly I'm in education. So Eli Lilly, I want to say, I'm making up a number. $20 million, I believe they gave to schools, local schools. And everybody's touting them as heroes. Although they care about education, Eli Lilly didn't pay $2 billion in taxes in those same communities. Their cafeteria is in Wood High School that was closed down when they built it there. I mean, so it's like, how do you not pay billions in taxes in the community? How do we not hold these industries accountable? How does our government not protect us from this? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, the rich is getting way richer, the poor is getting way poorer, the middle class is slipping into the way poor, and we're just sitting there watching and letting it happen. I mean, it's incredibly frustrating.
It's funny, Baba Tunde. It's like a magic trick. I'm gonna show you this this 20 million I'm gonna give you, but I'm gonna have this 2 billion that I'm not giving. When you think it's like, if you put that 2 billion in, that 2 billion would go towards the schools, the roads, everything that you put in. That 2 billion would help a lot of people go to college.
And the other thing about it too is, I mean, it's a terrible situation to be in as a city or community or whatever, because if you don't give them that benefit, some other city will, and they'll go there.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer is.
Because guys, we got to understand. I mean, if you are a business, guess what your job is to do is to make money and take care of your family and take care of your people and take care of your community. That's what your job is. So so it sounds like number two, then there has to be some sort of balance. So what it sounds like, you guys want to get the business community, the CEOs of the world to come together and say, all right, we are going to make a certain amount of money, because that's why you're doing business. But we're also going to invest in our community. Okay. So just like Dak Prescott today, I don't know if you guys saw or not. Hey, by the way, this is the Heavy Hitters Radio Show. This is Musage Big House, man. We got to start the show. El Jeezy and Baku, he's in here. The lady of the house, Run EMC, she's also in the house. DJ Longgreen, man, he's in here too. And then we got some guests. We got the Health Connection in here, man. Smingle's in here. You guys know who he is. You guys know who Baba Tunde is. Nate's is one of Moose's friends. She's in here, and the Monsignor. The Monsignor's in here too. That's just a nickname that I call him. That's not going to stick, but that's just what I call him. I used to see his face right now. It's very funny. All right, and then we got RK in here too. And Monsignor, by the way, if you want to talk, just give me your finger, man. Give me this, and I'll let you. And if you want to talk, I'll open it up to you. All right, so guys, Heavy Hitters Radio Show, independent radio, man. You're listening to us. And we are extra heavy tonight, and we are talking about some things, man, that are very important. We're talking about the choking, the lynching, the killing of George Floyd, and then all the things that led before it and all the things after it. If I want to catch up real quick, I've had numerous text messages and phone calls from people saying, "Hey, man, are you all right?" And not from my black friends, from my pilgrim friends. Hey, man, you cool? You all good? And I'm like, yeah. You didn't see me on the news. It's not me. And the oppression has always been here. I just know how to work through it. I just doing my thing, And what's that?
It's kind of like what D-Lo said. I had a conversation earlier about that. Is that some of us has like oppression, all that stuff has been here, but some of us has the charisma, we have the personalities, we have the willpower to navigate those waters and find some level of success.
Emotions are the card.
There's another large segment of us that don't have that same charisma, don't have that same personality, don't have that same, motivation. They can't navigate these waters like we can, and so they get caught up in the system, and they get caught up, and then it's just an ongoing cycle that just continues to happen over and over again.
Hey, real quick, Ross, what'd you say?
I get impressed by being. Have you ever walked in a bar with Chris and the women just they've run away, and so I have got to try to get them back because Chris will start telling stories about an 8th grade dance where some chick walked away and he starts crying like a little girl, and so I've got to bring these women back, and I'm like, Chris, too sensitive. You've got to come back. You got to come back. You know, a little bit of why does the beard have to be totally? Chris, it doesn't look good on you. The other guy, it was spread on you, but Chris, come on, man.
I'm so glad that nobody knows who that guy is. By the way, hey Ross, so hey, I appreciate you. Hold on, I'm about to mute you because you know, hey guys, Ross is chilling at the Moose Club tonight, and we know what happens at the Moose Club.
Northburn in southeastern Indiana.
Yes, we love it. We love it.
I moved down to my lake away from downtown, but Chrissy boy, I need you to come down and fish with me.
I'll be more than happy to come down there. I just got to get my permit first. We know how that works, man.
My permission?
No, I got to get a permit from the county, from Marion County, that they're going to know I'm down there, and then I got to call the police and let them know I'm coming.
I want to start the gas station. I will tell them to start carrying Newports.
I don't smoke, man, so it's cool.
I'm sure they carry Newports already.
Jeezy, do you remember Ross?
Ross.
Yeah, he's back in the old days, man.
We all look alike. Hey, all of us white guys look alike.
All right, man. I'm muting you, Ross, for a minute. All right, guys, listen up. So,
listen to Baba Tunde said about the Lily thing.
All right, go.
It's funny. If I remember, it was about 5 years ago. We had the Wall Street, where the people was trying to rise up against Wall Street, and everybody was kind of coming together, Occupy Wall Street, and it's like that movement just kind of like sort of just died. It kind of just went away when we should have kept that momentum going, because there's things I see in this city, like as far as like the Colt Stadium. We as taxpayers are paying a tax for a stadium downtown, and then they charge you to come in that stadium that you're paying for. That doesn't make any sense to me. We got parking meters that we pay taxes for the roads already, but then they say, you know what, you want to park downtown on the street, now you got to pay for that too. And now, it used to be 8 o'clock, like, you know what, it's 11 o'clock now, we want to get more money. And no one says anything. We just roll over like a dog that want to pet our stomach, and we take it. Like, we just take whatever they give us, we just take it. No matter what they say, they raise ticket prices, we take it. They put a toll to go to Louisville, we take it. They put a toll here, we take it. We just take everything, and we never say anything about the little nickel and dime that they do on us every single time. You get your phone bill, your cell phone bill. Is this fee? Is this fee? Is this tax? Is this tax? And it's like, we don't say nothing about that. Now you go out to get something to eat, it's a COVID-19 tax. Like, when did that happen? Now I got to pay an extra 20% because it's a pandemic? Like, how does this happen? And we just continue to roll over while they take small little pennies and cents from us. We don't think it's that much, but it adds up to something big every single time.
How do you fight against that, though? Like, do you just stop going to games? Do you stop eating out? Like, how do you remedy that? Also, as a side note, have we paid off the dome yet, or are we still paying on that?
Oh, the RCA dome is still being paid off.
I didn't know when we were going to be done paying on it, so...
There's no time soon.
We're paying on an imploded stadium and a brand new one.
But Ron, what you don't understand is even when that stadium is paid off, that money's still gonna stay. They're not gonna get that money back. That tax will still remain.
For sure.
He's gonna get money back.
So how do we fight that? How do we fight the inflection of cost and all these things that are now happening? Do we just stop putting our money into the community?
I mean, it has to be somebody way smarter than me to figure that out. You know, but I'm just a guy that kind of see the hypocrisy of it. I can just see it. You know, I don't have the leverage or the wits or the know-how. Maybe somebody smarter than me come up with a system and say, hey, from now on, this is what we're going to do, and make it and implement it to where we all can benefit from it. We still do the things that we love to do, but have little, like Baba Tunde said, checks and balances that we're not getting extra tax on this or extra tax on that. Say, no, we're not going to park downtown there. We're not going to do that. And as we can see, if you take away just a month of business, it shuts down. Like, there are stores that's not coming back. You think to yourself, like, you've been open all these years, and all it takes is 2 months of a pandemic, and you can't come back at all? So you see how on a day-to-day basis, us spending our money matters. Every day it matters. So we got to, like, reappropriate our funds to somewhere else.
Easy, and the thing, I agree with all that. The other piece, though, just throwing in on the other side kind of thing, I've lived all over the eastern half of the U.S., and if you remember, I can't even remember how long ago it's been, but the Charlotte basketball team wanted a new stadium, and Charlotte said no, and they left. And,
Hornets. Yep.
and right, and they wanted a new stadium, and I'm throwing out numbers, but they wanted a new stadium at like $70 million. The city said no. The team left, and a few years later, they realized how much money and everything that they lost by not having a team, that they turned around and built a $90 million stadium to attract a new team. And again, I'm not, same with you. I'm like, I'm not smart enough to be answered, but
right. They hold cities hostage. They'll hold your city hostage for a new stadium. Like,
Hey, I would tell you guys.
They want to build a stadium, so they move to Vegas.
I'll tell you guys this. I mean, you guys probably remember that the state of Arizona did not celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And when the NFL realized they did not celebrate that, they said, you know what? We're not doing the Super Bowl there then. Right. And Arizona was like, I mean, they sounded like straight like Scooby-Doo when he realized, who had the mask on, like, oh, and it was one of those things where they were like, we better figure this out, right? And so I definitely think it's a situation where all the large economic companies that have impact can make a difference. It's gonna have to happen. This will be number 3 for us. So there has to be some sort of. And I heard you guys as I was getting my chicken. Is that a black thing? I'm eating chicken. Anyway, I was getting my chicken. I wasn't choking it. I was getting it. So here's the thing. As I'm getting my chicken, I realized that from an economic standpoint, if we make an economic impact, it can affect change as well. So maybe we don't go to the games. That may not be a big deal because we don't go to them anyway. Maybe we don't watch them. Maybe you don't buy a jersey. Maybe you don't buy, you don't buy a hat, whatever it is, As a matter of fact, I got this hat. Everything I got on, I got for free. And not this chain, but everything else I got for free, that I have on today. Even this hat. When I bought my car, I got this hat for free. And it's one of those things where I think that from an economic standpoint, which would be our third thing, if we impact the economy, then we can also affect some change. Now, earlier, guys, and this is a good panel to talk to. Earlier, I got the great opportunity to speak to an organization in Indiana that is near and dear to my heart, and I want to hear you guys what your thoughts are on it. Could an organization like Special Olympics add diversity to their organization? Is it a possibility since they already have intellectual disabilities, they already have autism, they already have a lower socioeconomic status. All those things are already a part of Special Olympics. They talk about inclusion and being a part of it and all that kind of stuff. So, Ron, I'm going to have you start. Babatunde, I'm going to go to you. Jeezy, I'm going to go to you. And then D-Lo, and then Health Connection. And Nape, if you have anything, raise your hand. Go.
So I'm actually kind of surprised that Special Olympics in general does not have more racial diversity, because we know that in the education system, we are astronomically putting black boys into special education classes. We are giving them labels, and so they have these special needs. I'm using finger quotes. And so I'm honestly surprised that there's not already more racial diversity in Special Olympics specifically. But I think there's a great opportunity to get into some schools and make these changes and serve as role models in the communities. And then also serve our kids that we know we're putting directly into the prison or school to prison pipeline. But if we can give them another outlet, then maybe we can break that cycle of the systemic racism that we've already created in our education system.
Babatunde?
You're on mute.
What do you think? Babatunde, what do you think, buddy? Got to unmute you. There you go.
I'm in a big part in agreement with Ron. I didn't know that they had a diversity issue, to be honest with you. Like Ron said, I mean, the high number of minoritized high school kids and school kids that are labeled with disabilities, I thought would just carry over into Special Olympics. But it got me thinking in the conversation. I've worked in facilities, and I wondered, like a lot of facilities, I won't say any names, but it's like, man, it was not a lot of people of color. These facilities were boys that did some things that probably would have made them in juvenile, but instead they get put into these systems. It's more about rehabilitation, and it's about helping. It's important that human being to become better. But I didn't see many young boys of color in that space. So maybe there's something more that they can do. But, you guys think, like, I'm certainly not criticizing them. I mean, the way that they have supported people with disabilities and put it in the forefront and made it like opportunities for people to shine. I'm cool with that, but it's something that really hadn't been on my forefront that they was lacking in diversity until you brought that up just now.
All right, so guys, real quick, Jeezy, you're next, right? All right, so here's what happens, man. Like, so I do a lot of volunteering with Special Olympics and things like that, and I'm trying to think, man. Like, outside of the 1 day volunteers, like, so if they come with a company or a fraternal or sorority organization, they're there one time a year. They're there, for like 4 hours and they're out. Like they don't come back. They don't do a thing. And don't get me wrong, folks. I love Jeezy. I absolutely love him. But it was something he said about 4 years ago. He was like, you know what? We don't volunteer. He's like, you know what? We ain't got time to volunteer. We never learned to volunteer. And so I'm a open the floor up to Jeezy, who I love, but I'm gonna put him in a little bit of a spot right now.
That road. Huh? I think as a community, you don't know what you don't know. I think everybody has seen the Special Olympics on TV or the commercial, but you don't know how to get involved. You don't know that those activities are available for kids, for your kids, if your kids are have those disabilities. You don't know that. So if you don't know it, you don't know to ask, you don't know to go, you don't know where to go, you don't know how to figure those things out. So I think it needs to be more education. Maybe change the way it's marketed. Market towards those groups. Do more marketing for those kids. Have more people come out to those schools, talk to those kids in those areas, and then you would get more participation, more of a racial diversity. Because let's face it, there's things that we don't know. And I went to high school, and from Gary, that I had no idea existed until I went to college. So until you go to those next levels, there are things that are put out there, plans and money, grants, all kinds of stuff that's available. But if you don't know it's there for you, you don't even know how to get it. So I think it has to be some type of education and marketing towards those groups of people to say, hey, this is available for your kids. Hey, this is available for you to come out and do those things. We have to let them know that those things are available. All we know about is the Boys and Girls Club. That's it. Because it's always marketed in the hood. We didn't know that Special Olympics existed. We know nothing about that. Or we don't think our kids even qualify because the commercials usually show kids with Down syndrome. I'm just being. We all see the commercials. Always the kids that have. So automatically our kids don't look like that or something like that. So we don't even think that there is more disabilities involved. But it's just the way it's marketed. It shows certain types of kids. And when we look at our kids, we don't see them looking like that. So we automatically think that that's not for them.
Jeez, you ever thought about the fact that one of the things is that as soon as our kid is labeled with intellectual disabilities or autism, we like, hell no, not my son.
But you know what, Moose? To be honest, I think kids today, parents today, because mental health has been hit on hard the past 2 or 3 years, where it's really been hit, where it's like people are starting to realize that, hey, mental health is a problem, especially in the Black community. Like, we starting to really understand. So I think that kids today, parents would be more acceptable, more accepting of, well, maybe my kid is autistic. Maybe my kid is this. Now, I've seen the signs. I've seen commercials. I've seen things marketed towards mental health. And I look at my child, and he's showing some of those signs of having those challenges, you know. But I think with the commercials that we see, those kids look way different than the kid that has just autism.
So you know, I always say this, man. Like in 1987, there was a Special Olympian that made it to the NBA. Right, 1987 Special Olympian. 1988 Indiana All-Star. 1989 junior college fledgling. 1990 junior college fledgling. 1991 NBA All-Star. Anybody guess?
No.
Anybody?
He was in The Last Dance.
What was his name?
I don't know, but he's from Indiana. He's a Special Olympian.
He's from Concord, Indiana, man. I don't know if you guys know or not, but
Sean Kemp.
Sean Kemp, yes, sir. Sean Kemp was a Special Olympian. And yes, he was. And of course, he's so good, you know, it's like, you know, it looks silly, obviously. And I was not in Special Olympics at the time, but because I was still in high school. I was still in high school, guys, at the time. But he, what's that?
Don't you think that Sean Kemp was an athlete that should have been marketed for? Like that was opportunity right there, saying, hey, you know, Sean Kemp, NBA All-Star, made it to the NBA Finals, like, and he was in Special Olympics. Like, I've never seen that commercial. Never. None of us seen that commercial. Like, why is that? Why has that not been on the commercial?
Would you want that? Go ahead, Ryan. And then Jeff, run, and then Monsignor.
That's exactly what I was going to say. As a professional athlete, do you want to be known as the Special Olympian? There's a whole stigma that comes with that, especially in the late 80s and early 90s.
True. Back then, true. But I'm saying, like, even right now, that was news. Like you telling me that, like, I had no idea that he was a Special Olympian.
But it still has to be of his permission that information is shared widely.
I think Sean Kemp can hardly.
Right. Matter of fact, maybe I messed up. Sean Kemp, Rain Man, I love you. I do. I'm a fan, so don't be mad at me. Hey, all right. Hey, Jeffy boy, go ahead, Jeffy. Did we lose you? All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
It's the stigma. Kemp didn't want to acknowledge he wasn't as smart as some other people. It's about that. You know, I work for Special Olympics, and for the most part, we're serving a good. Our athlete population probably mirrors the community pretty well. It's our volunteer corps that's pretty white in general.
especially now that we're getting more school programs up to speed. And we've got a program. I think we just finished our second or third year at IPS, so we're making some strides in the urban areas. But I think a better story might be is to look online at Jamal Charles. He used to play with the Chiefs. He was a former Special Olympics athlete who came out and acknowledged that.
Wow.
It was part of several of our World Games. I think the one in 2015 in Los Angeles, he came out and I think he revealed his story there because he held that back for a number of years, especially when he got into high school, because the better he got athletically, the more people could not imagine that he would be a Special Olympics athlete.
Wow.
Oftentimes, your intellectual ability does influence your sports ability. Sometimes it doesn't. And so Charles is one of the prime examples of the two aren't necessarily associated with each other. Charles shares a story, and I think there's some videos online that you can hear him talk about, give his testimony on these things.
Well, I would say with the volunteer corps being mostly white, I think there's a couple things there. This pandemic has showed us that a lot of white people are not essential workers in the fact that our careers allow us to work from home. If you look at our community members who are being impacted by COVID or who are still out working or who live in multiple family houses, they are not generally white community members. The other part of that, and I see this in my 40 a lot, is that white people, especially white women, often fall into the savior complex. And so white women especially are willing to work with low-income children. They're willing to work with children with disabilities, and they're willing to volunteer because the mindset is that you can save a child, or you can save this kid from poverty, or you can save this kid from their disability. And so a lot of people that fall into those different complexes, if you will, are white. And I think, too, with white people being able to work from home, they generally work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And so to volunteer on a Saturday is no big deal. It doesn't rearrange their schedule or their life. It's very easy for them to get up and get their Starbucks and go volunteer. They don't have to worry about childcare. They don't have to worry about taking off work. And so I think those are things to consider, too, when we look at who is volunteering for these events and how do we get it out to other people.
Well, I think on the economic factor, and it goes back to some of the earlier conversation, is I studied economics in college. I don't get this. How can the stock market be almost back to where it was, but we have 40 million people unemployed? It shouldn't be that way. Right?
Civil unrest.
I'm sorry?
And we got civil unrest going on. The stock market is killing it.
Yeah, and I think the thing that, and I read an article, and it was a fairly mainstream media source saying that there's a good chance that Trump will be reelected because we've got such an even shorter time frame that we no longer ask, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? The question is, are you better off than you were 4 months ago? And by the time we get to the fall, other than unemployment, stock market's going to rebound and be better than it was before the pandemic. And there's a good chance that Trump will get reelected because of that. I mean, that's, for the most part, what? The only reason why he got elected anyway is because of economics? Probably. But those numbers, those two things shouldn't happen at the same time, but they are. So,
because
smart people are figuring out how to work the system here.
Hey guys, real quick. You listen to Heavy Hitters Radio Show, man. We like the time is totally getting away from us, which is cool. Which means the conversation is amazing. It means that we have some smart people in the room, and I hope you guys are enjoying this. Matter of fact, I'm trying to get this on so that people can see it, people can listen to it more than our listeners that normally. Because holy cow, it's amazing. I want to give a shout out to JR who had the jet. I appreciate his view on things and his willingness to come on and give his view. I appreciate my man Ross. Also, we lost him too, but he sent me a picture. He's taking 2 shots of whiskey for us. He also gave his time. He's chilling at the Moose Lodge in North Vernon, Indiana, which is weird because it's in the southern part of Indiana. Don't worry about us in Indiana. We know how to do it. We have South Bend that's north, and we have North Vernon that's south. And don't worry about it. Okay, this is how we do it. All right. Don't ask any questions. And then, man, we got the Black Beard Brigade, but which I don't think I see any beard there though. But he's up in there. He's up in there. I'm struggling to remember the nickname now for some reason. What?
That's Arlo Gritty.
Arlo, yes, Arlo Gritty, yes.
He Larry today. He got that beard is going. He Larry.
Yeah, the beard. Hey, COVID, I quarantined it off just because I ain't doing nothing. I done put 3 parts in my eye like it was 1992 and everything.
Yeah. What the heck? Are you Kwame?
How y'all doing, Heavy Hitters Radio family?
We hanging in there.
Hey, man, we up in here.
Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody.
Hey, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm scared of COVID. I'm so nervous. I'm like COVID adjacent of a lot of people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you, if you cool, like, I'm with you, but yeah, I'm COVID adjacent, man. I'm not messing around with that.
Is that like how I live hood adjacent?
What?
Is that like how I live hood adjacent? You're COVID adjacent?
I'm COVID adjacent. Yes.
Just don't walk backwards into a room.
Yeah. What?
I can walk to Hallville, but I'm not in Hallville. That's it.
Yeah, well, because you're on the other side of 16th
Street. They have the best donuts in the whole wide world.
Yes, they do.
Right, because Southport Road, that one don't count.
I'm going to need you to stop the nonsense right now.
Case sincere, don't discriminate.
Case sincere.
He does not discriminate.
I just did a long donut taste test over the weekend. I bought 6 from Southport and 6 from the Ville. And then I laid them out on the table and didn't say nothing.
And the Ville was
better.
better.
You like to know which ones. People were like, oh my God, those don't taste right.
The Ville. The Ville tasted better.
Happened? You know what happened? What happened was Hustle Man from Martin was working both facilities that day. So you didn't know what you were getting. It was just the cook in the kitchen.
Hey guys, you listen to Heavy Hitters Radio Show, and we have people that come on and join us often, and some folks have decided to join us tonight in light of what's happening, not just COVID-19 or the coronavirus, but also the fact that there was an officer in Minnesota that now I don't know who somebody's got to mute themselves, like somebody's child is mad. That there was a situation where an officer knelt on the neck of a brother, George Floyd, and killed him. And then there was another officer on his back. And by the way, guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but I read today that there was an officer. One of the officers checked his pulse and said, "Hey man, his pulse is getting weak. Hey man, his pulse is not here anymore." And Chauvin was like, matter of fact, he didn't even acknowledge him, because we couldn't even see the other ones behind the car, and that's kind of what went down today. So that's where we are. Ron, I'll tell you what I want you to do.
I had a quick question, Moose, on that. And I kind of want to get the opinion of the room. When you watch that video, part of me felt like the reason why he kneeled on his neck for so long was because the camera was there.
That's correct.
Told them, like, so what, you filming me? I'm still not moving. I kind of felt like being videotaped almost excited him or incited him to do those things that he was doing. Whereas if there was no video there or no one recording, might the situation turn out different.
All right, real quick. So Nate, I'm asking your opinion on that. I saw you had some thoughts on that. So go ahead and unmute yourself, and then Smingle, and then the Health Connection, and then Run. I want you to finish it up, and if anybody else has a thought about it, please go.
I agree with him. I think that guy thought all these people are heckling me and whatever. I'm the big old bad cop, so I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, and not even really paying attention to what he was doing.
Okay.
Yeah. There was one point you heard him say something like, "You're not so tough now," or something like that. And I mean, it was definitely that cop's personality of being in control and, you know, that piece of it. Yeah.
Man, being involved in law enforcement, as I say, it was hard to watch and stomach, just because I know those guys that are like that. I know some of those guys that have never had girlfriends and that were picked on and bullied all throughout high school. So when they put the magic star on their chest, it's a badge of honor and badge of courage, but it does not justify or give you the right to take someone's life or to unjustly treat someone the way that you wouldn't have treated them otherwise. And it, furthermore, you know, I just have to point out that all police officers and peace officers and sheriff deputies, all law enforcement isn't bad. You know, Muhammad Ali pointed out, he said, if I had 10,000 rattlesnakes and 1,000 of them were good rattlesnakes, am I supposed to just believe that the 1,000 are going to surround me and put a shield and keep the 9,000 bad rattlesnakes from jumping on me? That's the same on both sides of the fence. The thing is, we just got to stop drawing in the sand. It's not them, it's we.
I had a question. So I know you're law enforcement, and I appreciate you and love you and have been there. But did they make you cut your mustache like that?
That's called sexy Jesus time.
Okay, all right. I just had to ask, man, because I mean, I respect you and I respect your badge and you. I love you. That mustache is interesting to me. You almost got the Michael Jordan.
Right.
You almost got the Michael Jordan there.
That goes back to Bell Biv DeVoe. They came out with the whole thing.
How do you know?
All right, Baba Tune.
Back to the 90s.
Baba Tune, give it to me. What's your thoughts on that?
This is what I do know. To kill someone from strangulation, that person has lost consciousness for over a minute after that. You know what I'm saying? So I can see them. You can grab somebody by the neck and choke them, and they're going to lose consciousness, and you have to continue choking them for several minutes after then. So I don't know, the TV, the camera, the what, we got 100% crazy going on. You got to be crazy to kill someone by strangulation. You got to be crazy because the person goes limp first.
And
I do want to say about the good cop, bad cop. My father-in-law, who's passed away now, life in law enforcement. I'm an educator. I encourage them. I got two of my kings that are current police officers, and what they do for what they make, it's a noble profession. However, if you have teachers sitting around watching other teachers physically harm those that they're paid to protect, then you got a problem with that whole system. There's no such good thing. If I'm a teacher and I know Sam over here is screwing Amy, and I'm not saying anything, doing anything or whatnot, I'm not a good teacher. Because I'm not screwing Amy too doesn't make me a good teacher. If I'm not protecting those that I'm paid to protect and serve, so we got to get rid of. We need a whole new image. If police officers, and I know they want to be, because I know we're saying they're good cops. There's people out here that's not doing harm to others, but you can't be a good cop if you know this is going on and you're not addressing. Like, come on, man, this is why I'm here today. It was my peers that said, "Come on, sir, that's dumb, man. Stop, that's stupid. Come on over here. Get your." I mean, it takes and when your JR and them was talking about leadership, as far as at the top level, it takes peer leadership. It takes friend leadership. It don't have to be a boss to tell you this is stupid as hell. Get your knee off his neck. I can't feel his pulse. Stop it. Get him up. I mean, I'm an emotional guy. As a teacher, kids, they come with that tough guy look. That triggers me. You know what I'm saying? But somebody see me looking like this back at the kid, the teacher jump in. I got it from here, Mr. Witter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the type of system we need. That's the type of people we need. Before I end, now, pineapples real quick, because this is the test that we need for police officers. You need to ask people that they went to high school with, And you got to ask them, you say, was this guy a punk-ass motherfucker in high school? And if
yes!
they make it on the force, because those are the ones that can't handle. They get that back, now all of a sudden they talk on it. I mean, you've been a punk-ass your whole life. They don't need to be with no gun, no bags, no none of that.
Hey, so, real quick, guys. I'm not overstepping here. I'm gonna tell you that Babatunde was a college wrestler. Babatunde's tough. Babatunde's been tough since he's been a little fella. You know, my history with him is that he would call me names and he'd run from me, and I couldn't catch him because he's smaller and more swift than me. And when I would catch him, I would stuff him in something. I might have stuffed him in a locker. I might have punched him in the stomach at some point. But guess what? We still end up loving each other, right? But he never backed down. So even though I am probably, I don't know, at some point in my life, 200 pounds heavier than him, he never backed down from me. That's how tough Babatunde is. And so you can imagine what you would do if you wrestle in the Big Ten. Imagine how tough you are if you wrestle in the Big Ten. And then I've seen him work with children that have attacked him and attacked his family. And I've seen him work with people, work with teenagers that attack his character and attack his person. And so I know Jeezy's worked with children. Jeff obviously and Smingle both work in societies where the people can be volatile. It's just like that. And then by the way, Nate, I know Nate was in these situations all the time because I see her where kids are like, I'm going to choke you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to tear this place up, I'm going to grab these scissors, and stab you and run as a teacher, in the city. So, like all these things happen for this group for sure. All right, guys, real quick, man, you guys have been amazing. Go. What's that?
And I have some thoughts. Okay, so number one, Babatunde and I this year read a book called Biased. And what's interesting is there's one example. So this author works with police departments to undo biases. She goes a lot through her journey, her son's journey. The point of this story is that in one example she gives, there's an undercover cop and he's black. And he's just kind of like hanging out downtown, walking through the city, and he catches a glimpse of a criminal like in the storefront windows. So he follows this man just to see what he's up to. He gets to the store and it's himself. So that in and of itself tells us that everyone's got biases. And then when you are looking for criminals and when that is your job and when that's what you're trained for, you do see the world differently. So he saw himself as a criminal, which is so interesting. Also, I want to go back to Babatunde's other point. I recently saw this hilarious video that made me laugh, cry, because it was so real, but it was presented in a hilarious way. So this super Southern dude is talking about the murders that have been completed by cops. Complete is not the word I wanted, but you know what I mean. Anyhow, he says, imagine if a teacher chokes out a child every 3 months, and then the superintendent and the principal do a press conference and they say, hey, Mr. Howard's been placed on administrative paid leave, but we know that this student was into some pretty sketchy bathroom graffiti. And that's just how it feels. We are people who serve and protect our communities, right? Police officers have a thankless job. Many other professions do too. Nobody else gets to murder someone, ever, in the history of the world. I mean, that's not true, but you know what I mean? If it happened in another profession, that person's whole career would be done with. It's not going to be 3 days off, and then you're back out on the force. So these are a lot of things we need to think about. There's a lot of action that needs to take place, and so I'm just going to go ahead and give this call to action. No matter where you live, you should be emailing people. So there are a lot of resources already on social media. There are direct links that will give you a pre-typed email where you just put in your name and city. I did that today for Louisville for Breonna Taylor. I emailed Chief Randall Taylor of Indianapolis, and I said, hey, here's how I feel about Drayshawn Reed. Here's how I feel about police training in Indianapolis. Here's how I feel about our police that are on the streets. Now what do we do? I sent that email to Governor Holcomb, and I sent it to Mayor Hogsett. So I think for people to reach out is going to take a lot. And if you don't have the words, then message a heavy hitter or reach out to me on Instagram, and I'll send you what I have. We can send the same email 1,000 times. I'll give you the words. Just put your information in there.
True story. Hey, I tell you what, Jeezy, you're gonna go, and then guess what? We're gonna ask that question. We're gonna ask that question.
Hold on, man. What's my name on the screen?
I need that.
What's my name on the screen?
I need the antibody testing. All right, go, Jeezy.
What's my name? I'm just Jeezy.
I see just Jeezy.
I'm just Jeezy. Because obviously, I'm just a small guy that does a little podcast that no one's really listening to.
Go. You got to be faster.
I'll be faster, but I can recall me saying exactly that. And I was shot down. I said exactly what Ron said.
You're not shot down.
2 weeks ago.
You're not shot down. We love you.
No one shot you down.
Huh?
No one shot you down. And do you have the email that you can send people that they can just forward?
I'm just Jeezy. That's the thing we need to do. Number one, you need to police your own community. We need to have more police officers that look like us, police us. I say you need to be emailing your senators, your governors, your local representation, figure out how our police are being trained in your city. Like what you said, Ron. Good job, Ron.
It's all things you said, yes.
I mean,
all things you said.
You saying that, Jeezy, but, my thing was also the fact that, Ron added some more value to what you're saying, and that she provides how to do it, who to send it to, the verbiage, because as I stated, and I think it was actually in our group text conversation potentially, but a lot of people just don't know how to do it, what to say, what the process is. It's intimidating, you know what I mean? So it never gets done. But you were absolutely right, and no one shot you down for that. It's just there's got to be more to it. Because you said if we won't change, the people have to do this, and I believe my point was if we want change, the people have to know how to do it. You know what I mean? So
we should probably
I think that's the big difference.
Hey, Larry.
Post a letter on the Facebook page and Instagram.
We will. Or you can do it. You have access too. Hey, so my man, so you haven't been here, but you've been in the world. What are your thoughts? Give us your thoughts from last week till today, and then guess what? I got a surprise for y'all. I can't. Oh, wait. Here we go. All right, go ahead, but we couldn't hear you.
Was that for me, Moose?
Yeah.
Okay. As far as what's going on, it's nothing new, man. It's a rerun for a lot of the things we've seen in this day and time. I mean, a lot of this stuff has been going on. The I Can't Breathe movement since Trayvon Martin. I just think we're at a time where you look at old Malcolm X, Martin Luther King speeches or whatnot, and we're still fighting for the same things. And there are good people of all color, and then you have people of a badge that don't represent it well. And for me, it's like we can all learn and get a lot from one another, but we have to start somewhere. I mentor kids. I got the Extraordinary Brave Hearts program, and a lot of my kids, we come from, nothing background. So when I see these things happen, I'm like, that could be one of my kids that I mentor that don't know how to carry themselves yet. Even myself, I have 2 boys, 2 girls. So I don't know, man. It hurts to be at that place, but I'm torn between how we protest as well, because I just don't feel like the way in which the protest is going on, we're getting across to the people that need to hear the message in the way it needs to be heard. I feel like I love this platform also because it's not just African Americans, as Moose likes to call them. We got some good pilgrims.
I got some pilgrim friends, guys.
Good pilgrim representation. And for me, I really like it because when anybody sees bad, we should all speak up if you are a genuine good person. It shouldn't have to affect your community. You know what I mean? So whether it's, Asians or Indians or whoever, you know what I mean? And people, like in my community, like there's a Facebook talk, and you hear people. This is when you find out where the racism is still around. I don't live in the hood no more, and like it's always little jitter, like, oh, here we go again. The Black Lives Matter. I'm like, I'm a person. All lives matter, but people do have to be sensitive and understand that we do also live in a world where, because we look different, my rights and your rights are not the same, and even though these officers are to protect all, we live in a system that was never built to protect us or assist us. And that's at the end all, that's really what it is. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Now, you'll have good and bad people from every angle and every aspect.
From both sides?
Exactly. But also what my man said earlier, if you see your fellow mate next to you that's not representing well, you can't just sit there and say, well, there are good cops and bad cops. No, I mean, in every sort of industry, there has to be a whistleblower. If you're going to change the game, you can't be afraid to be a whistleblower. Because at the end all, if I see something done wrong and I didn't do anything or pull the alarm or try to intervene to assist someone else that's in need, I'm just as wrong as the person that committed the crime itself. You know what I mean? And that's the world that we live in. Like, people feel like, it's not me, I'm not a bad guy, but I can sit here and watch this guy do 8 things wrong. And this guy's been in, I think this veteran officer had like 12 reports or something. There were other incidents that came about. I'm like, when is enough? Like, I don't get it. And they get all these slaps on all the slaps on the wrist that money can buy. Like, even when we look at Trump and the stuff that talks about in Trump, if Obama had a quarter of the ignorance and things that went through when he was in office, he would have never made it out of the first year. You know what I mean? So it's so many fine lines that aren't equal, and I just hate how people look at everything as it's an equal playing field. No, there's multiple playing fields, and we're all not in the same game. But I do love and respect that there are good people of all sorts that are, speaking truth from a genuine perspective, even though it's not affecting their quote-unquote community directly. And I think we need more of that across the board. It doesn't have to be like, oh, blacks or this and that. No, I mean, as a people, if we're going to come together and make this thing better, it has to be white, brown, green, yellow, like, that do right and stand up for that, regardless of where you're from, what your representation is. You have to stand up and speak, and we have to make a difference. And I think in this day and time, the only way we can really do that is with money. I mean, at the end all, like, we have to find a way to affect the pocket. Because when the money stops, they listen.
Gritty. I am totally with you. By the way, we say green, like I'm cool with being cool with everybody except for the people coming. If they come out of a UFO, like, I'm not cool with you. Why? But everybody else, why? I'm down.
Why?
I'm just a little nervous. I'm a little nervous about them cats. Like,
Don't be. Don't be scared. Do you realize, like,
green lives do not matter for me.
Do you realize the things that are going on? This is all a part of the system. Like, we're in the campaign year, right? And I'm a street background individual. It's also a drought season with a lot of things. And the thing that's so funny is the things that come up every day is either coronavirus, COVID-19, that pandemic, and what we see from the George Floyd.
It's still going on, by the way. There's a damn pandemic, folks.
It is.
Quit trying to hug Moose.
But this is what I want us all to be aware of. While all this is going on, and people that know me know I can be a conspiracy theorist. This was also planned. So what I mean by that is these are the things that come about when there's so much more going on behind the scenes. They want us to focus our attention on what we are looking at right now and what we're discussing. But nobody's worried about the discussions we don't know what's going on, because we need to really be aware of what's going on behind the scene. Like the Wizard of Oz, there are other buttons that are being pushed, especially during this campaign year right now, that we need to start focusing on as well, just as much as what we're talking about.
So, folks, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. I'm going to watch I usually watch The Wiz, so I'm going to watch The Wizard of Oz. Is it the same?
But I don't think that another thing that to kind of get on what Greedy was saying is that a lot of people don't know that if you don't even have the proper ID, which is the true ID now, you can't even vote in the actual election.
No, I don't have the flight one, and I still voted, no problem. And my stuff, my information.
I'm talking about in the November election, you will not be able to vote unless you have the true ID. That's a fact.
The real ID thing? We'll see.
Yeah, you don't have the star logo on your driver's license, you will not be able to vote.
We'll see. It's just about flying.
What if I'm mail-in absentee?
Right. Like, they don't know anything about that. Like, I don't understand that. All right, real quick.
I was told that early on about this whole ID thing. I was told that very early.
You were told that to research it.
And then after November, you won't even be able to fly on the airplane.
Right. That's true. Now, that's true. But who wants to fly anyway because you get COVID all over you?
All
right.
I do all the time. It's been 2 weeks. I'm good.
Wait, I'm glad you made it, man. Maybe you're tall enough that the spores miss you. They're on your chest.
I was guaranteed tomorrow, man. You ain't know that?
I like how you think. Hey, guys, are you ready? Hey, this is Moose Guy, Big House. Oh, sorry, Longer and go.
I just want to say, first of all, in case Sincere come to the hood and protect everybody, that man is over there cutting his head, shaving his head with a knife.
I'm with you. I'm ready.
I'm pretty impressed by this guy. And I'm sorry, I haven't jumped in a little bit, but just kind of going back to the Special Olympics and those people being part of, the lower socioeconomic system. It would be great if there were more diversity represented behind the scenes as opposed to just the athletes. And I think this is a great time for a special opportunity to try and find ways to be able to really be the example for society because, they're dealing with, some of the harshest of issues. Not only do they have the physical and mental challenges, but they suffer the same conditions that a lot of disenfranchised people suffer as well. And I'm kind of speaking from a humanitarian perspective, but, in a lot of places where these people live, a lot of them live in food deserts. You know what I mean? There are no grocery stores, and there are tough conditions that prevent people from easily accessing food. If you can't eat, that's gonna draw some rage in all of us. And there are a lot of disenfranchised people that are losing their homes, losing their communities. Great high-rise condos are going up. Beautiful restored homes are going up. But these people have no idea how their next meal is going to show up. You know what I mean? And it just becomes so much tougher when you also have the element of a criminal justice system that doesn't allow you to play the same hand. Because, again, in that situation, you're already in some level of poverty, but the more times that you get caught up for petty crimes, you take plea deals, the harder it is for people to hire you at that point. So now you put yourself in a position where your background says that you're not hireable. And these people really have to find a way to eat, you know what I mean? And no matter what I contribute or what I do or who I help, it's never going to be enough. And big corporations, they've got to be able to figure out an answer because, again, we're bound to repeat this if some things aren't corrected. If these people are continue to be ignored and are continually trying to figure out how to live each day and put food on the table, we're going to set up for this to continue to occur, and it's probably going to get worse. So that's kind of my big concern. It'd be great if for example, people who have been victimized by the system itself and how it works, if organizations like the Special Olympics, even if they had limited resources, open it up and said, hey, we've got this volunteer program. We want you to come here, work here for a month. Now you can put that on your application. I can be a reference and say, hey, this guy came to work every day. He did everything he could, or this guy came to work every day. But it's got to start somewhere as far as being able to impact people, because if they can start pulling themselves up and out of the system itself, the overall society is going to improve. We can't just have the richest people in America continue to do better and improve each year while these people are left to figure out how to put breakfast on the table.
Man. You know what? It's unfortunate that I don't have anything profound to say after that, because all I can give you is snaps for that one, brother, because that was totally on point. I mean, and that's the thing we got to do is give cats a chance. Any CEO out there, any business owner needs to give cats an opportunity. And the thing is, though, yes, you know what? It's about volunteering to get the okay, for some reason I'm missing the word, but to get the information so they can put on their resume, so that then they can get a job somewhere. You're absolutely right. Hey guys, I got a question for you. Are you ready to have a conversation about resilience?
As long as you don't call it grit, I'm good.
Say what?
As long as you don't call it grit, I'm good.
I tell you what, I want everybody to raise your hands up like this. Matter of fact, put 10 up. You guys ready? Hey guys, the Heavy Hitters Radio Show. This is Moose A Big House, and guess what it's time for?
A random game show.
How you doing? This is Moose, aka Big House, and I'm your host of the Random Game Show. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are these 10 spirit fingers?
Outstanding. Yes, I need you to put 10 fingers up. 10 fingers up.
I'm holding my phone.
When you
holding my phone. I'm holding my phone.
You just spoke it twice with the same hand.
When you reach a number, if I ask you a question and you meet that question, I want you to put your finger down. Are you ready?
All right.
Yes.
All right, here we go. I wish I had my glasses.
It's like never have I ever.
All right. Here's number one. Did a parent or adult in the household often or very often swear at you, insult you, put down or humiliate you, or act in a way that made you afraid that you might be physically hurt? Put a finger down if that was the case. All right. There we go. Did a parent or adult in the household often or very often push, grab, or slap or throw something at you? Put a finger down if that happened.
I got that stuff.
Number
This is
three.
when you became an officer.
Number three. Did an adult or person at least 5 years older than you ever touch or fondle you, or have you touched or their body in a sexual way? If you feel weird about that, you don't have to answer that one. I understand.
She was my babysitter.
Do babysitters count?
Babysitters count.
My babysitter.
Absolutely.
Baby, yeah, I can say that.
I think about every young brother's gonna say, "I hit the babysitter." All right.
Yeah, and one of my mentors.
Did you often or very often feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were important or special? Someone devalued your. There's one. Oh, we got one in a different population. There we go. Did you often or very often feel that you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, or had no one to protect you? Oh wow. Okay. Were your parents ever separated or divorced?
I'm out.
8 times.
Oh, I got one more hand.
You got another hand. Yeah. You're just done with one hand.
One hand down, one hand to go.
Was your mother or stepmother often or very often push, grab, slap, or have something thrown at her?
You said mother or stepmother?
Mother or stepmother?
Yeah, mother or stepmother. Yeah. Did you live with anyone who was a problem drinker, alcoholic, or used street drugs? Or use street drugs, alcoholic, street drugs, or whatever.
Well, hold on. If it was a multitude, do you keep taking down fingers?
No, just one.
Addiction?
Any of those, one.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Was a household member depressed or mentally ill, or did a household member attempt suicide? Shit. Are you praying over there, Health Connection? Because you've been through it.
I'm listening.
Did a household member go to prison? That's number 10. Did a household member go to prison?
A what member?
Household. Did a household member go to prison? All right, guys. So you see that some folks have. Let me see.
I got 2 left.
8, 4, 7, 5, 6, 3, 2. So is there any winners? Yes. Guess what? You're all winners because you're still here and you're participating today. However, what you did was you took the ACE test. And what that does is that gives us a score, the folks that work with children, that gives us a score of how children are going to survive in society. Now, is it a situation where you're not going to survive if you have more than 2, by the way? If you have 3, you're in trouble. And some of you guys had 7 or 8. All right? Some of you guys had 7 or 8. But you still made it. If you're still here, you still made it. So, and we did that random game show. All right, Jeff Monsignor. Dang, that's what I meant to say. I'm opening up to you. I'm opening up to you. And tell me what you think about that. What you think about that, working with the population that you represent, and then Smingle, then Babatunde, and then Run, and then D-Lo, and then Gritty, and then Health Connection, and then Jeezy gonna finish up.
You gotta unmute him, Moose.
He can unmute himself. He knows how to work it.
So, Moose, you just want us to comment on the game?
Yes. What do you think about that?
I loved it. I enjoyed it. I think it does. It asks those pointed questions, and I think it really gives you that idea of the upbringing that has such an influence on who we are and some of the struggles that we go through. And I liked it. The people we serve, I'm not sure how well they'd be able to answer those questions.
They wouldn't. Yeah, they wouldn't.
You still would ask those questions.
I think if we asked our county coordinators those questions to think about the athletes that they work with, because they're going to know some of that, not all of it, it might give them a different perspective.
All right. So, by the way, A stands for Adverse Childhood Experience. I didn't tell you guys that.
Wow.
That's what it stands for. Ron, are you next?
Yeah, so I think this ACEs test will likely adapt after COVID because I think we're going to see a lot of trauma come out of this situation. But I will also say that for me personally, I feel like, and this could be totally wrong, but I think I may have experienced some of these things, but I have pushed them so far back in my psyche that I don't even remember it. But I know that I had behaviors that are likely associated with some of these experiences. So even if a person can't articulate that they've experienced it, that doesn't mean that they haven't. For those of you who do work with younger children that you feel like maybe this wording is not great, there's a really good game that I play every year. It's called Come to the Line If. And you can set it up however you want to. So you just ask the kids the question. If it's true for them, they step to the line and then they step back. And you set it up that they don't have to answer the question if they're uncomfortable with it. I always start with some pretty light questions and then move into those heavier questions just so they get to know each other and I get to know them. So that's just something to think about too. If you are a person that works with kids, I probably have it saved somewhere. You can message me and I continue what I have so that you don't have to recreate it yourself.
Outstanding. Gritty. You muted.
I don't know. I'm hurt over here. I didn't realize I just barely made it. I'm 2 steps from abortion. I feel like over here or something.
What the heck? Pineapples.
I'm hanging on with my 2 fingers left. And then I don't know. I like that was a dope game. That was insightful, especially for what I've seen, lived through, how I try to help coach my kids to help build themselves as a brand. I think for me, a lot of times we know we have issues, but I think there's a psyche issue in the Black community where we have an issue with speaking up on things. So I think we just kind of carry on this baggage for time, and then somewhere there's an explosion.
Is it
you know what I mean?
Gritty? Is it baggage or is it resilience? Because if I was the host, but I would have put my finger down for lots of those, by the way. And so is it a resilience thing? I mean, my pilgrim friends are tripping on some of the stuff that I've said about the way I've grown up or the things that I've heard or the way that I've trained my children. They're like, what? Like you? And it's like, yeah, dog, like I still got to be okay no matter the oppression. Whatever the oppression is happening, I still got to be okay. I'm still going to laugh. I'm a joke about Babatunde. I'm gonna have a good time with Jeezy and Mingle. I mean, you know what? Hey, speaking of that real quick, Mingle and I were talking today. Mingle, I don't know if y'all know or not, but Mingle's a pilgrim, and it looks like he's a welder, like for the Indy 500 right now. But he and I were talking today, and you know what? Like there's never been any like there hasn't been any pilgrim jokes, any brother jokes, like nothing, like totally just 2 guys like, yo, man, coach playing today. What you want to do? You want to go to the game? Let's watch it at home. All right. I'm making chili. Well, me too. And, sometimes it's just me and him. We make chili. We eat the chili. We drink a little bit. And then we both take naps. And then we watch the game. You know what I'm saying? Like it's been that. We wake up in the chairs. I got comfortable chairs in the compound studios. We wake up in the comfortable chairs like, man, what's the score? Man, I don't know. I was asleep too. And we've never even discussed the fact that we are that different. We just been buddies, And so folks, I want you to know that does happen sometimes. Sometimes it does happen where people are just cool and like it never comes up, And if there's a joke or something, like it's so subtle or unassuming, you don't even catch it because there's no malice. And I feel like with Mingle, there's been no malice. And, matter of fact, if it's any jokes, it's me making them. Because he'll say, boy, all y'all did such and such. And I'm like, oh, you talking about all of us? And he's like, I didn't mean it that way. I'm like, I'm just joking. I'm just, because I don't think he meant it that way. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so anyway, I think it's one of those things, man. Anyway, I just want to put that out there. So Gritty, I appreciate you. Who's next? Longgrain, you next? Or Babatunde?
Hey, can I answer the question you asked?
Oh, my bad. Yeah. Did I not do that? Go.
So what I was gonna say is, I think even Ron put in the chat what I was gonna say. She read my mind. Like I do believe it can be both baggage and resilience. Baggage piece because it helps you to understand maybe why you think a certain way, feel a certain way. Like, I call stuff baggage because a lot of things, we feel like things that are just normalcy to us and how we were brought up. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that that's right.
Right.
Or it can't be fixed. Just because that was normal in your household, like, we tend to look at other people a certain way, like, oh, you didn't get whoopings, or you didn't get cussed out, or, you know, all these things.
Really?
It's like, there's a different way to look at that. So for me, I say baggage because sometimes those things surface differently, no different than, like, what I tell my kids, how you see it in sports. Like, a lot of the athletes we look up to, you know, they carry on this baggage from all through years, and a lot of the school sporting programs and colleges they've been to, etc., they're not concerned with the baggage that they see signs of. They're more concerned with the, you know, making money off the kids' athletic ability. So then when the millions come, all hell breaks loose. You know what I mean? But it didn't just start. It's been going on. So that's why I say baggage. You know what I mean? And those are the things we have to repair, so we're not passing that down to our kids. Or, yeah, exactly. We have to break those bonds over time. Resilience, you know, when we see the growth within ourselves. But everybody isn't as fortunate at the same time. So, because some people do have a different psyche or have went through a lot of damaging things that, you know, they might take their own life, feel like they don't deserve to be here, stay in a domestic situation until they're dead, you know, all those things that take place. So I can't say one or the other. I think it's both. It just depends on, you know, who you're dealing with, but it's necessary.
For sure, man. Hey, man, but I for sure appreciate that take on it. Long Green, what'd you have, man?
Sidney Poitier.
So in terms of the resiliency, you know what I mean? Like I totally feel that it takes some resiliency to survive a lot of the things that people put their fingers down for. And even myself, there were a couple things I was still on the fence about. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, it's not so black and white that, you know what I'm saying? Some of those situations bleed into other situations. So, but, you know, as far as the game show, one thing I did notice that our black community on the show tonight definitely kind of had more fingers up, you know, than our Pilgrim friends. So we had some adversity and some challenges that maybe they weren't accustomed to, that we're continuing to overcome. And again, speaking from a humanitarian standpoint, you know, it just makes me think of people who look like me, George Floyd, Drayshawn Reed, you know what I mean? If they were playing this game, how many fingers would they have put down to? You know what I mean? And to still, even if they had all 10 fingers up, to have been taken out the way they were, you know, it just breaks my heart, you know, because again, to overcome a lot of those situations, still be here, it's remarkable. But then when you have a system with very few checks and balances, and you have your life taken away from you, it just shows you're completely devalued. And I think we've got to be mindful and respectful and aware of other people and the circumstances and the hands that they may have been dealt. And I really salute Run. You know, like she's damn near the MVP tonight, because she's absolutely correct. You know, by going through the processes of contacting the prosecutor, the governor, the mayor. You know, and I wish more people would see these situations for what they are, and at least put the pressure on your local leaders to give more answers. You know what I mean? Because this is what we pay them to do. Give us the answers. There are things that we should know, because if we have the facts from both sides, you know, maybe we start to eliminate some of the biases that we have when we see certain people. Maybe we have a better understanding.
I like it. Babatunde, what's your thoughts on that, man?
I really appreciate the exercise, McNoose. The research in trauma really fascinates me. I mean, where they're showing that 2 or 3 ACEs rewires our brain. I mean, has this a cycle of emotion all the way triggered to the fight or flight, which kind of helps answer the question that my man, the guy that doesn't see color, it's the violence or whatnot. I mean, so I read a book, Paper Tigers, where if if I'm constantly triggered because of my ACEs, because of my situation, where normal scenarios become life or death scenarios for me, and the life or death scenarios. So I'm cussing out teachers. I'm shooting a brother on the block. And the resilience literature is difficult for me because it's designed to fix the symptom. And so I heard a guy tell a story, said that it was a whole bunch of people on the beach, and every time they look up, and it'd be a kid that was thrown into the water. And the guy would run in and jump in, and look up again, another kid's thrown in the water. The guy would run down and jump in and save the kid. And then one guy started running up to the top. They're like, where the hell are you going? He said, I'm going to see who keeps throwing the kids in the water. And so the resilience research is almost like jumping into the water to help a kid. But we got to see what's creating this environment. And I'll speak personally here. I mean, I answer a lot of this. My mom and dad was never married. My mom was pregnant with me when she was 15. My dad was in prison. And I look at those as individuals. That's hurt. That's pain for me as a child. But someone told me that we got a sick system that is kind of like watering this environment and encouraging this to happen. And I think that would help me with the healing a little bit. We have a lot of educators spending a lot of time on teaching kids resilience when we need to be working in anti-oppressive manners or whatnot. And I agree, you got to be resilient. But I mean, but to fight through this, I mean, you have to be exceptional to be normal, if that makes sense. I mean, if you got my man, what's your name on here, Larry?
Arlo Gritty, we call him.
Huh?
Gritty.
We call him Arlo Gritty.
Gritty
is exceptional. To have two fingers up at the end of this and be where he is today, you know, why can't I just be normal? I mean, why do I have to be exceptional to be normal? Why can't I just be a normal guy? Why do I have to be resilient? Why do I have to overcome this? Why do I have to that's not humane, man. That's not what we need to be working for, teaching kids. I'm gonna toughen up kids where they can take a person beating the shit out of them every day, and a person on drugs, or a parent that don't have a job, or that's not the direction that I think we need to be headed in. We need to be fixing the environment that's creating these ACEs and not fixing the kids necessarily.
Man, you know what? You for sure hit it on the head. I feel like my hope is that guys like us that are on here are doing that. I think that our influence with children, you know, when folks, I don't know if you guys heard or not, but Bubba Trinity talked about Mike Kings. So at his high school that he is a counselor. They have created a situation where they have the young men. It's not just when it's young men, right? And that they call them kings, and that they train them essentially on how to be good scholars and men, and it helps the home life. So you get, you know, hopefully you're getting some training from home, but then if you become a king in their program, and I don't know if you want me to talk about the rest of it, but I'm saying if you become a giant king, then you know you have extra help. And the cool thing about how that works, guys, is that as you grow older, guess what you have? You have people that have been through it already that can help you. You have business owners that can help you. You have guys that are working somewhere that can help you. You have guys that are volunteering somewhere that can help you. You have guys that are in law enforcement that can help you. You have all those things that can help you, and that's how we fix this program. Jeezy, what's your thoughts on this, buddy?
I kind of want to piggyback off of what he was saying, because it's true. It's how we were raised. We were raised to have a superstar mentality, which means that instead of being, for us to think of success, we have to be exceptional. Like there's no being just okay or being normal and equating normal to success. You know, there's no, you know, if you look at it in life, there's like 4 doors for us that we go in. Either that's athletics, it's entertainment, it's music, you know, or somewhere in this glorified celebrity. So we all fighting to get in 4 doors. And so we're trained as kids, tough love, you gotta be tough, you gotta be strong, coaches, everybody beating on you strong, you gotta be strong. And that's how we're trained so that when we think of this level of success or whatever we classify success is, that we're able to take it. And the reality is like, no, there's 1,000 doors open and 1,000 ways of having success. But we don't teach our kids to say, you know what, you ain't gotta fight, you know, 100,000 high school basketball players to only 20 get drafted in the NBA. But the numbers are stacked against you. But however, if you want to go be an engineer or be a business owner or be on Wall Street, there's a million doors that they make just as much money as those pro athletes. But we don't know that because we don't have access to those doors.
Hey, Jeezy, real quick, you're flowing, but do you remember you and I had a conversation about Chris Rock when he was like, you know, my next door neighbor is a dentist?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. He said, I live in a gated community, and my next door neighbor's not special. He's just a Yankee or tooth-out dentist. That's what he is. and it kind of puts perspective in life. When you look around, when you drive around and you go to Geis, everybody living in Geis is not a doctor or a lawyer. You got some regular Joes living on a lakefront house, paying $1.2 million for their house, and they go to work every day just like we do. Nothing special, nothing exceptional. They're not a CEO of a company. And you got to figure out, like, wait a minute, how did this guy get all of this just being normal? But for us to get that, we have to be exceptional just to be there normal.
It's not exceptional. It's above and beyond, Jeezy, the Call of Duty. And then we look up to what we see on a regular basis. So the people that we see that are making the money, are living a legitimate life, are not the doctors and lawyers that we grew up around. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it does pigeonhole and give us a narrow mindset on what to strive for, because not until we get older and you find new circles that you like learning about, you know, different industries of economics and financial literacy and medicine field, and I mean all the pharmaceutical. Like, you don't grow up hearing about that because a lot of us, we don't know anybody in those lines of work. We know a chef, somebody that might own a little barber shop or, you know, a boutique, you know what I mean, things of that nature. But all those, there's so many other areas, IT and things that go so hidden that we need to be exposed to and expose our kids to, because it's what's true is you don't know what you don't know.
So is
you
this
know what
number?
I'm saying? So whatever we don't come up around and don't have access to, like some like Ron or some might have, or Smingle, they might have friends they grew up with that parents were already gave them stock options by the time they were 12. I met people like that, but I ain't grow up with them. Like, these are conversations I had. Our kids, you know, so they come into the world kind of with different opportunities and access and set their kids up for success. And then a lot of us, we don't know anything about that. We have an issue burying a family member within 7 days. We trying to find insurance money. They body cold and hard in 3 weeks. We trying to still get funeral money. They leave them, you know, riches, and we leave that. You see what I'm saying? So it's just how we come up, and that's where we have to break chains and leave something different than what we came into.
How do we change that as far as, like, I always ask this question, and the reason I asked it because the answer was shocking to me. So I asked all people, my young people, when I'm going through the paper, are there more professional athletes or more black MD doctors? I'm not asking you guys the question I asked them. And almost 90 to 100% of young people would say professional athletes, and I answered that question, professional athlete. But there's 7 times more black MD doctors than professional athletes. I mean, if that's the reality, I mean, how is that a secret? Why was that like shocking to me as a middle-aged man when I learned that data? I mean, what is going on? Why is that not like common? Like Sue said, engineer. I mean, any of us can be an engineer. Not any. I probably couldn't be an engineer, but so many guys could be an engineer. You know what I'm saying? But so few people are going to be a professional basketball player. What's in the mix there? I mean, how do we change that?
Well, I think, guys, that might be number 4 at this point, and Gritty brought it up, Jeezy brought it up, and then you hitting it home. Number 4 solution for us is that us as parents and as educators and as leaders and as mentors and that kind of thing. We're CEOs, there's CEOs here. There's all that here. We need to mentor our own children of others, right? Our own children and children of others. And we need to teach them not just the survival game, right? I talked about the fact that my mom taught me survival, and then I learned how to live. But I gotta teach my son survival and then how to be a boss, how to be a part of the system. And I'm gonna tell you something. My mom inadvertently taught me how to be in the mainstream because I watched her be a leader, right? And I saw that she was always trying to get the next thing, and she was then she wanted to be postmaster, and she became postmaster. She was always, you know what I mean? So like I always saw her going for the next thing. So it was exposure. So that's what it comes down to. Number 4 is really exposure. We got to give our children and all the children that we come in contact with, all the people we come in contact with, exposure. Our children exposure so that they can become leaders. Our peers exposure so they can become allies. You know, I think about Smingle. I think about Jeff. I mean, they hang out. I hang out with Smingle, often, and I hang out with Jeff every now and again, and hang out with Ron and the rest of you guys. And it's one of those things where I think the more you're around someone that's different than you, you have a better understanding of how they are, and then you're more tolerant to what is happening with the society. Does that make sense? Because like I started tonight, by the way, was that when I was talking about my experience with Special Olympics and folks with intellectual disabilities was, well, are you Big John? Are you Big B? Are you Big Steve? That kind of thing? No, I'm not. I'm Moose, aka Big House, right? But or Chris Eggers. I said that earlier tonight. And so I'm not Big Chris. I'm not Big Moose. I'm who I am. And then they get up. They start to learn. Oh, these folks are different. This guy's different than all those other guys, and I can trust him too. I trusted them, and I can trust him, which makes their experience different. And then when they go forward, they start to treat people differently.
And I read a book about effective allyship that I have recently found in an article I've been reading. So this is from an article called "The Black Community Needs Stronger White Allies." Effective allyship, and this is not just true for white people, but for cis people who want to be good allies to trans folks, and for able-bodied people who want to be good allies for disabled people, is rooted in the needs of those most effective. Accountability and partnership is built into good allyship work. Ensuring the action you are taking has not only been vetted by the community you are serving, but that it also works in concert with the work they are already doing. So we talked about white savior complex earlier, right? And so we're not here to save people. We're here to join the fight. And that's what an effective ally does. And I think as leaders in the community, that's what we need to do. Moose, you were talking about showing it to our kids and people we mentor and just the people in our circle. And so we want to make sure that we're joining the fight and not starting our own fight.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Now that's poignant.
Well,
Jeezy.
Real quick, Moose. One of the things I think when it comes to the black community is we got to change what we glorify. Like, we grew up glorifying Flash. What I mean by that is the big change, the car with the rims. We glorify the rapper holding money to his ear. Like, that's all that propaganda is being shoved down our throats, and we're constantly, I just gonna take a chain here. But we're constantly glorifying that. So our kids see that and they say, I want that. Because we see in the videos, we see the respect that person that has those items, the respect that he gets from everybody around him. So automatically they want to gravitate towards that respect level, or I'm a boss, or I do so all that is fine in our culture. But we don't understand that, hey, that guy, that's all paper stuff. That's not real. That's not real money. Those people don't really follow him like that. Those people really don't worship him like that. That's all on the set and all on camera. We have to have educational things put in place to say, look, you can make X amount of dollars doing this job. You can go out and get your electrician's license, become an electrician, and by the time you're 25 years old, you're making $40, $50 an hour changing light bulbs as an electrician. Like those, and that's plus overtime, time and a half. Like all of those things are available to you. Just learning how to put some wires together. We also can teach kids and say, you know what, welding, because everything you need has to have somebody to put some welding, put some things together. How much money do they make? Like there are jobs out there that doesn't require you to go to college. It requires you to get all this extensive education. If you don't feel that you're able to do those things, like if you get with your hands, there are jobs out there that will make you a significant amount of money that you can do. And also learning how profit works. So instead of selling drugs, understand that, you know what? The profit margin on the hot dog is way more than the profit on the brick of cocaine. You're going to sell more hot dogs, but a hot dog will cost you, 30 cents? And I can sell it for $4, $5. I mean, what's the profit margin on that? So you have to understand that how things work, or a pizza costs you $17 to buy, but it costs them $1.50 to make. And I always go back to what you did at the club that day when the guy told us it's 9 cents for a bottle of Patron. I mean, a glass of Patron costs them 9 cents. They sell it for $15. Right. That's insane. I mean, that's insane profit margin.
Right. So, like, what he talked about, he said he bought a bottle of Patron for like $40 or whatever. And when he got done, like it cost him 9 cents to pour, but he charged $15 a shot. That's freaking amazing. Hey, Jeezy, I appreciate you. Our time is running low, so I want to get to D-Lo. I want to get to Babatunde. I'm gonna give everybody to give like kind of a 2-minute ending, and then we're out here. What's up, D-Lo? Uh-oh.
You can't hear me?
Better.
All right. Well, I loosely agree with Jeezy in a lot of ways, but I do differ in the fact that in terms of changing the mindset on glorification, just from my own knowledge, I know that the Flash is one way that's helped Black folks and their self-esteem. I mean, going back to the Zoot Suit days, and when we worked on trains and what have you, like the only way these people really felt some level of success was to be able to look good. And when you have a community of people that don't have much, but you finally see somebody that looks like you, and this is how they're kind of showing their success, you tend to strive for it. But unfortunately, the lack of knowledge, often, way too often, puts the person, the entertainer, the rapper, right back in the position that you are in, while you're glorifying it, but they have no understanding of financial systems. They have no idea how money works. So even Black folks who have obtained a ton have lost it, within a short time of even achieving it. So, I mean, we've got to have better understanding, but I do understand some of the mindset. Let me go out here and get this nice car with big rims.
because you've seen so many people struggle. When you finally see somebody and the projection is, wow, it looks like they're doing well, then you kind of strive to that. But if you were exposed to more, if you knew what success really looked like, if you really understood money systems, you would probably view it differently. But it's hard to teach and get people to understand how to deal with money and how to handle finances and make good business decisions if they've never had much to work with. You know what I mean? So it's all kind of a flawed system that ties into each other. But I get some of the behaviors, but as we expose ourselves to more and as a community, as we get out here and become more proactive, hopefully after the current conditions have died down some, hopefully we'll be able to kind of better get people into certain fields where they can maybe strive. And I do agree, with our children especially, we've got to be able to do more to figure out, I'm good with my hands. Okay, well, if you're good with your hands, these are 20 different fields where your hands would be awesome at. You know what I mean? These are things that you can do that you have no idea about besides boxing. You know what I mean?
Sorry, man. Sorry.
But you've got to be able to know that, you know what I'm saying, if you're a really organized cat, you know what I'm saying, well, this is the type of field where your organization would be a real benefit, and you can do X, Y, Z. You've maybe never even heard of 80% of these things, but I think it's important to kind of analyze our young people at a much sooner point in life and maybe start giving them the direction and introducing them to titles and names and, things that we could never imagine because we've never been exposed to it and we don't know anybody who has. So we don't even know it exists. It's like climbing cell phone towers. You know what I mean?
Number five. Sorry. So number five is early intervention in driving children towards not driving, motivating children towards activities that are to their strengths.
Well, make sure you give Jeezy credit for that because he's going to come back and say, I said the exact same thing.
Yeah, just Jeezy. But number five. So the only way we're going to make change, all of us old heads, is that if when we're talking to children, whether they have intellectual disabilities or not, or they're black or white or whatever they are, when it sounds like what you said, Long Green, is that when we for lack of a better term, diagnose what their strengths are, to build on those from the beginning. And guess what we do? If a kid has a great jumper when he's 4, what do? We put him in basketball his whole rip.
Put a basketball in the bed with him.
I have a son.
Exactly.
I have a young son that was a great basketball player. He was decent at football, but holy cow, he hit the baseball so far. It was like, oh yeah, and he's been playing baseball. You know what I mean? And so like everything was, you can do what you want to do, buddy. Get your grades. But he's always been playing baseball forever and ever. And holy cow, like he's still good at it. And so that's one of those things we need to do. What's that, Jeezy?
One thing I will say is that athletics is good for kids to participate in. I'm not saying they don't need to participate in them because athletics teach you discipline. It teaches you responsibilities. It teaches you the camaraderie of teamwork. It teaches you all of those things that being on time, being punctual, being responsible, all of those things come from playing athletics.
I don't want to get stuck on it, though. Sorry. I don't want to get stuck on the fact that, because only 1% of those kids are going to go further.
Right.
So I think what D-Lo was saying was, man, you are good at building things. You're good at that kind of thing. Like we definitely need you to do that. Hey, real quick, Babatunde, what's your thoughts?
I got a couple of things. One, I want to be real clear. I mean, I've been struggling with the identity issue for years as a grown man because Big House Moose is so well accepted by so many people. I mean, of diverse upbringings and things. And he's the guy that I swear was a bully growing up. But then I don't know. Maybe it was me. Because I'm going to tell you, he hit me so hard in my stomach out on that track field. The first time I ever lost my breath, I thought I was dying. I was like, I think we've been cool ever since then, though. I think he taught me a lesson, I guess. But I do want to say this. To what you guys are saying, the economic understanding is missing. I remember I grew up in an apartment. Well, I grew up, and then we moved out into Wayne Township in apartments. And I remember thinking that people that lived in Eagle Valley, which is a condominium home, I thought those was rich people, you know. And then when I talked to the kids today, I mean, the median, I think the median American income, household income is like $52,000. And so I don't think that type of economics, I think Mr. J.M.'s an economic major. You say that? I don't think we have just a minuscule at most understanding of economics and what money really is and what's a lot of money and what's good money. But lastly, I want to say, it goes back before the Zoot Suits. Something in our DNA. They digging up them tombs over there in Africa. It's gold everywhere, you know, going around me. I mean, that's something in the bling is in it, so I ain't that mad at us. As long as we have an understanding of what real value, or far as economic value, whatever system we are in, and what's really value. Like I think Jesus said the profit turn on hot dogs is way more than crack cocaine and way more than weed. So we need 5 or 6, 5 and a half, and there's some type of massive understanding of economics in this capitalist system.
And I appreciate you. By the way, I do wear a chain, but it's the key to my mom's house. My mom passed 3 years ago, but I'm a latchkey kid, and this is a stainless steel chain that I bought from the neighborhood place, and it's the key to my mom's house that I went over there today, and I leaned down and opened the door just like I used to back in the day. So I just want to put that out there. All right, so
are you gonna say you're sorry for hitting my stomach like that?
No, I'm not sorry. But you know I'm not sorry about it. Like you earned that. And you know what? I think I stuffed you in a locker too at some point back in the day.
Uh-huh. I
stuffed you in a locker, so that's but you deserved all that.
In my mind, I won that one in the locker room.
You did not. You did not. Hey, Mingo, you got a minute and a half. Go.
All right. So, bringing it back to Special Olympics for a minute, just thinking of athletes, or that's what we call all our participants, but as they are growing up and early in their life and being told they can't do something, they're not good enough, they're stupid, whatever. Going through all of that, how isolating that is, and not, if they have an intellectual disability, not even really understanding some things. I mean, understanding what that's doing to them and that kind of thing. And then they get involved in Special Olympics and they realize that there's other people just like them. You see them blossom and that kind of stuff. That's pretty cool. And then the other thing, just to touch on or throw out there, as we were talking about all the stuff going on and with police and everything, probably something that a lot of you guys don't realize, that law enforcement is our number one fundraiser in Special Olympics. So there's good there too. So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Hey, if you guys didn't know, man, the torch run is still going on. Matter of fact, what is today's date? The 3rd. So I want to say it's the 12th when they're doing the virtual games and all that. And so I got that email. I'm gonna try my best to get on there and watch all of that because I am a participant of Special Olympics and I try to pay attention, and it's going to be different. Matter of fact, a year ago a year ago today, I was wheels up to Heathrow in London, England, and so I'm here today. It's a whole different deal, and I miss the opportunity for Special Olympics. I miss the opportunity to hug people because of COVID-19, and I miss the opportunity to not have to talk about the fact that a black man was strangled in the back of a car a week ago, and I'm sad that we had to be the first news organization to report it. So I just want to put that out there to everybody. All right, Jeffy, I called you Jeffy this time, not Monsignor, because I want to respect your position. Yes, he was murdered. I apologize. He was murdered, killed, murdered. Jeffy, talk to us, man. You got a minute and a half, though.
It's interesting that it's come back to economics and a lot of that, and I think if you were to take a look at the laws on the books, I think the vast majority of them are based upon property and not the person. It's not protecting one person from another; it's protecting my property from you, and that's what this really boiled down to, wasn't it? Counterfeit of what, $20? That's what it boiled down to.
Yeah.
And somebody was talking about, well, with the cameras, we can't deny it. Well, they tried to deny it, didn't they? Look at the initial autopsy report. There's still ways of trying to deny it all. So, going back to the economics, though, it's like, I think the problem is just pure greed. For the most part, economic systems work in their base form. They serve the needs and provide the needs of the people who are part of that system. But then once you influence it with greed from a few individuals, it throws the whole thing out of whack. And that's eventually why a lot of groups are left behind. And that's why there's a great need for nonprofits to serve those people who fall through the cracks.
Bro, I know we about to get up out of here, but I don't know if y'all heard, but they are actually, Congress is looking to basically disband the Qualified Immunity Act. It's basically, that's the act that protects police officers. So they actually taking it to looking to pass a bill that will basically dissolve that protection for law enforcement.
Oh, wait, what does that mean?
So what?
What does that mean to those of us who oppose?
Basically, there are certain immunity act that cops operate under.
Mm-hmm. So
basically, when they do crimes, there's immunity to it. So now they're looking to basically dissolve those rights.
Oh, you go to regular.
Hold you accountable for. So if that goes through, that's a huge win. As we say, that's actual legislation that's going through that can change, it may not necessarily change the act of things happening, but it will change the outcome of people just getting administrative leave.
It will for sure. It will for sure. I think it will change the act. Case sincere, Health Connection, we love you and we respect the fact that you've gone into law enforcement. But just like you said, there's so many. There's not so many, but it's those few bad officers out there that make the rest of you look horrible in the things that they do. So now, guess what happens? Guess what happens? It sounds to me like when one of the bad officers does something that's negligent, if it goes through, will hold them accountable, but not everybody accountable. Does that make sense?
Right. Fair enough.
All right. Hey, guys, this is Heavy Hitters Radio Show, man. This is Musuke Big House, and I appreciate everyone that's been here, man. Ron, it's kind of funny that you have been on the front lines of this situation, man. You've been sending, you guys don't know, but she sends text messages to D-Lo and Jeezy and myself, and we're in this thing all day, and we're doing things, and if the mayor's talking or if the governor's talking or if Trump is talking, we are informed. If we're not watching already, I try to keep an eye on it too. But Run definitely has a finger to the pulse. I tell you what we're going to do here. We have about 5 minutes, all right, before Speaker says, "All right, man, you have used your time. Here's the plan. We're gonna run. I'm gonna let you finish it. All right, I'm gonna let you finish it, and then we're gonna get out of this thing. We're gonna do a separate reading runbow because we need to do that. All right. So if you guys want to stay for a separate reading runbow, you're welcome. If you don't, you can go to bed, do whatever you need to do. So real quick before we get into the final, even though I call you Monsignor Jeff, I appreciate your time. I mean, holy cow, you've been up all day and you've been doing meetings and all kind of stuff, and then you hung with us for, man, almost 3 hours. So I definitely appreciate you. Mingle, even though you look like you're in the snake pit at the track, I appreciate you for being here as well. Health Connection, you're one of us, and I'm glad that you're here, even though I think I just lost you. Gritty, glad to see you. I'm glad to see that you're here. We definitely appreciate you. I missed the beard, but you're looking like you like a new Al B. Shore. D-Lo, of course, man. We love you. I'm sure you'll hang for reading Rumbo, so I'm not worried about that. Jeezy, same for you. You're the star of the show, and the co-founder, so I'm sure you'll be here too. And Babatunde, man, your intellect and your esteem training in this area is much appreciated. Please know that even though I punched you in the stomach and stuffed you in a locker in your lifetime, I respect and love you like a little brother, and I'll always uphold you. And I can't wait to call you Dr. Babatunde, because I don't know if you guys know or not, but Babatunde is ABD, which means all but dissertation. So he will be a doctor very soon, and I respect that wholeheartely, knowing how much of how much of an asshole he really is. All right, but I do respect the fact that he's going to be a doctor soon, and I will call him Dr. Babatunde every time I see him. If he's at my house or his house, or if we're at the Lowe's parking lot on Christmas Eve.
Oh man, much love.
All right, hey, so Run, finish us out here. Finish out. You got like 2 minutes.
Okay, so I'll just give some quick closing thoughts. White people, aka pilgrims, if you are struggling with this whole conversation, because I know that a lot of you are, please reach out. I'm happy to have a conversation or give you resources of books to read or documentaries to watch. And I will say that there's been a lot that has come out of this last week, personally for me, but I think the biggest thing that I can say is that I would rather offend my white friends than bury my black friends. So to the white people, if you have an issue with that, then see you never. Because I'm not putting these people in the ground. And I already told my crew that they're not allowed to leave this world and become a hashtag, but every time I see a police officer murder, that is literally all I can think about. The other thing is that white people don't make the movement fight through your tears. Join the fight, become an ally, have conversations with your white friends, but don't make the movement also include your tears, because we're already fighting enough and we don't need to fight through your sadness. We're all sad. Join the fight.
Hey man, this is Heavy Hitters Radio Show. Remember, we are where you are.
So get comfortable.
And come on in your mouth.
Yeah, you got to do your part. Oh, goodness gracious.
Yes.
Peace, y'all. Hey man, I tell you, we appreciate you, and if you want to come back and do this again, we'll be more than happy. Just let us know. We'll open up the airwaves, and we'll get people in here on both sides, and we'll be respectful, and we'll talk about it. Peace.